Muted.
So I can watch part of it and leave. No, you're fine. I cannot leave if you're still here. I am going to turn the heat on all again.
All right, we're going to go ahead and mute everyone at this time, and we will open it up periodically.
For about 6 or 8 years, it just seemed like it's not going the right way. Every kid had a book when I was in school. And what I found was in our state, not every kid had a book. Only the kids were going to do what? Get a state degree. So I just thought, when did that happen? And so I was gone for a while, showed up, and so I spent about a decade professional development. I mean, you know, if you're in higher ed, what do you think the answer is there? Just educate more, it'll be fine. And anyway, it was not fine at all. The tool was, to me, broken. So we created AET. I'm very much a farm management guy. We created AET to teach really farm management skills to kids. The idea of a book to represent a year is really not a good farm management tool. The idea of SAEs had to be aligned to FFA awards is where we got. That wasn't the start, but that's where we got. I always thought it was funny when we first created AET, goats, I think were under small animal as an area. Goats were in small animal. I laughed because the research I had in Texas, goats had moved from like number 12 SAE animal project to number like 2. Being the steers, you know what I mean? That's what was happening in our state. I don't know about here, show goats, if that's a big deal, but it did teach me right away when we were working on AET that looking at a proficiency and trying to think about an SAE would always be a broken system because the proficiencies are really dependent on, honestly, sponsorment. And so the idea of the proficiencies dictating the SAEs seemed like a weird deal. But I mean, I helped teachers for almost a decade and never really thought of that as a thing. So I started thinking about a record book, like how do you use that tool? You know what I mean? How do you label that? So I'm forced to do it. So we wrote a whole SAE development system that we hit delete on because it was all based around this idea of I have to know every project your kid could possibly ever have. and that's a broken process. So a lot of what's gone into AET is about a decade worth of doing these things. And then when we actually created AET, we ran into other things that we had never messed with. And so this is an evolving product, is I guess what I'm trying to say. It'll never be done. Some teachers are like, that's good. Some teachers are like, don't do anything. I know where all the buttons are, don't touch anything. And so that's just not how it works. It has to evolve and get better and improve. So that's kind of how AET came about. Now, the idea of this workshop, I think, I've done a couple of these with you all from a distance, so this is much better, I prefer. But is I'd like to start off with what my goals are for the workshop today for y'all, like what I'd like you to be able to do. How many of you, can't see you online, but how many of you in here have already used AET a bit? Anybody? Players? Used it some? Okay, that's good. The rest of you haven't yet. So what I'd like to do is level the playing field for everybody if I can. Because getting kids in the record book is actually the first step of all teachers. Some of you have already done that maybe. You got your kids in. I don't know how you got them in, but I do want to show you today, and I want to grab a chapter that has not done this yet. Everybody with me? I want to borrow you, whoever you are. And I'd like to pull your kids from FFA and put them in AET. Because that would be a good, clean way to get it started. Then I can talk to you a little bit about what you might think about doing next fall when your school starts, because it's a much better way to go about this. We're starting to talk in January. Is everybody with me? So for AET, by the way, for us with AET, I've learned in the last workshops, y'all do a lot of things from January to December, right? And that's because of why? Because it's calendar year. And I think, honestly, because the awards all end in what? December. So you got to start in January and going in December. And very honestly, you don't. You start in August, start in September. You know what I mean? We start when the kids start school is the way we view AET. So right away something I've learned from the past, didn't know. You know, everybody with me, I didn't know. But I have in every state dealt with that scenario. So we look at everything as start of ag. And I don't care about an award. For example, Texas, this is the messed up state that I live in. But Texas has their state degree April 1st. Yeah, no. Are we here? I don't know. I'm from Texas. You're going to have to spend a while convincing me. But in Texas, all state degrees end April 1. Not December, April 1. Why April 1? Well, the stock shows happen in February and March, so we need to capture all that lost money if you think about it, right? Why do they want to do that? But that's what we did. So every state degree for us has the Pennsylvania in October. Why October? So they got a December meeting that decided to get the state degree, so they got in before, so they picked October. State degrees or awards all are a date of application, if that makes sense to us. Tracking experiences in ag education is all I should care about. I care about when it starts. Everybody with me? I don't really care about when it ends, because every award could potentially have a different what? End date. Start date is very specific. It starts when the kids start ag. And so after that, end dates or whatever. But I don't want to tell the kids, stop keeping records, right? It's December. We got to do your stuff. Start your records in February when we're ready. That's also a terrible idea. So we don't try to ever advise, stop starting. Everybody know what I mean? The special code, the secret ring. Everybody know what I mean? The secret process. All of that really just makes things harder. And so we really just try to look at it as simple as possible. So for us, it all starts in school. However, you and I are talking in January, right? You've already put your kids in FFAs. Everybody, you've done that. I don't want to recreate the wheel. So the first goal I have today is how do you use AET to get your kids all in today in the best manner. And then what does it look like in September, just to show you a little bit about what to do. But managing kids, accounts, and the IDs is actually something that consumes a lot of our time today, helping people. And it consumes even more time of teachers that never asked us that question, right? They're trying to figure it out and working with people and calling fellow teachers. And so I'd like to talk to you about how to get accounts squared. I'd also like to talk to you today, as my goal, is to talk about the teacher tools that exist in AET. Now there's a bunch of these, but one of these tools is our program of activity, our POA system. So I want to talk to you about how that works, if you don't mind. That's kind of a goal I have. So I hadn't even got to the student record yet. The other goal I'd like to have is then to switch to the side for somebody. And I'd like to talk about how the students get started And then I'd like to talk about how they set up SAE. And so I guess for y'all, we may want to make that our goal to start off with. Then I want actually everybody to do stuff I'm talking about in your chapter. Some of you may already be there, you know what I mean? But if you're not there, you can kind of catch up. I'd like you to do a few things, and then maybe we take a break. And then we come back, and then you tell me, hey, I did that. How would I do this? And that's kind of a format we did. So that's what I want to talk about. How to get accounts set up. How to do POA stuff. Show you a little bit of a preview of the tools that exist for teachers. And then get into a student account and show you how SAE gets put in and how a few transactions happen. That's kind of what I'm saying. Now, you may say, I'm also thinking what? So what are the other things that you're needing? Anybody have any that I may have missed? Okay, surely I did.
Getting kids records set up and going.
Yeah, that's kind of that kid part, yeah. So I want to show you that. And now when you said that, though, you brought me to things. You got kids that start off an ag with beginning inventory, right? They already got stuff on hand.
Well,
I might show you that.
yeah,
I'm trying to think about
our thing, I mean, we're going to have some draconial thoughts here because, I mean, we're January 1 state and we've been training that all of our life. And don't talk about secrets and we should have everybody.
Yeah, I just did. It's on the web. You got to warn me about this. We need a hand signal. I'll start saying something. No, I think honestly, January 1 thing's great to deal with, and I think it makes it really confusing for me.
January 1?
Yeah, that's why. Because the kid's talking to you in September, right? The kid says, "Hey, I got this steer on feed in September." You know what I mean? So I'm behind because I would say, what do? You know what I mean? Like, what did he do? He didn't start his records yet? So
That's the problem here. Some of us do. I mean, I start my freshman one in the door in September, late August, whatever.
Right.
Some wait till January, and so right on that. Some of us are really stuck to January 1.
Well, and what you just said, and you know what I mean? Well, that's exactly the trouble we have with records. You go about it one way, it's long. You go about it another way. Logically, I can start them whenever you want it. However, the fact that we have two different runs, let everybody across the state. In Texas, the idea was all records would start April 1, a long time ago. Why do they start April 1? Because that's when the award ends. Everybody know what I mean? So even in Texas, we had the same thing. The only thing that made that even crazier was April was way too far away from September. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that made that any different. The idea of a record book that goes for 4 months. Everybody with me? August to December. It's also usually said. Then they use words like short book, long books. Everybody know what I mean? AET is not a book. AET is not a compilation of books. AET is one record book. The shift, paradigm shift, right? AET is one record book. Side of that record, kids have what we call enterprises. That's another switch for maybe, we have enterprises. I like the word in farm management. Enterprise is a common word. It's a good one, right? There's another word in farm management called profit centers. And that's really what agriculture started talking about is what are your profit centers? So a profit center for a ranch, if I'm a livestock breeder, I need some calves, everything. Profit centers for me, if I run my operation, are not beef cattle. Profit centers for me are cow-calf operation, likely. Profit centers for me are feeder calves. You could even break feeder calves into winter wheat calves. So you could break that up to manage. The third one is probably replacement females as a profit center. Because sometimes I retain bunch and sometimes I don't. It depends on the market. Everybody follow? So as you start making these decisions as ag folks, you back up the crops. Nobody has a firm. People have profit centers of corn production, and I'd even say you don't have corn, especially in y'all state. You don't just have corn. You got your 2014 corn and your 2015 corn. Because you can sell your 2015 corn, keep your 2014 corn, because there's a loan tied to it. Everybody know what I mean? Farmers keep their grains not as an item, but as an item and a production year. So I'm going to back up the feeder calf. Use a real example of an ag, right? Show stew. That's supposed to look like that process, but it doesn't. But anyway, it's supposed to. I think kids don't have show steers. I think they have show steers for 2015. Then I think they have another profit center called Show Steers for 2016. Everybody follow? It's a shift. The reason why is that we have a record book, and inside of that is whatever profit center organization you want to help the kids. The best way to think of those is profit centers. What are they? At the end of the term, right? We say, did that make any, did that lose? If I know all those answers, then I can take a record book and I can pile those all in a big proficiency. No problem. I can take the hogs and split them out from the cattle in a proficiency. Does everybody know what I mean? I can take a state degree and put them all what? All together. And so there is a lot of paradigm shifts we're going to bounce through as we go, but there's just a couple on the front end. So think about those as we go. So we do look at AET as not the same animal. We did not create it to look like AET records. So, you know, and there's going to be things to go about, what about it? I don't know what they're yet. And years and time is one, look at enterprise is another. Place, for example, the job. I can just the job of it. Y'all are already doing it. Let's laying it out to everybody. A kid doesn't have a job at a vet. He could. He could have a job at a vet doing small animal stuff, and he could have a job at the same vet doing large animal stuff, and he could have a job at the vet doing the front office. I'm just making up an example. But as kids are keeping records, the more we can encourage them to segment what they do, the better managers become of their records. And just as, you know, we hear opening ceremonies and we talk about, you know, fiscally responsible. These are the records, detailed records. This is what we've all wanted to teach. So AET is very much aligned to try to break this stuff up as much as you want. I got kids, I look at their records, and I have 40 different SAE projects. 40. And it's not any more difficult to keep up with the 40 as it is to keep up with one. And I'd say keep up with one here, because those inevitably will come out to an award. And they thought the kid was doing a diversified livestock kid. And all of a sudden, 3 years later, they want that kid to run a big proficiency. But they took all these and did what? Piled them in on top of each other. So they have less flexibility. I also think that if you're looking at a beef proficiency award kid, and you see calf herds, show steers for several years, replacement herds for several years, everybody kind of follow? I'm right away. I'm on page 2 of the application. I'm looking at his SAE. Right away, I see the depth of management that he's trying to show me. If you got another, you just said, everybody follow? I'm not sure yet. And I'm going to spend most of my paragraphs and digging around. And honestly, most judges give yay much time to that whole effort. If I've got to dig too deep, I'm confused. I'm just going to score you less. I don't know how you rubric shares. Everybody with me, but I'm confused, so I can't follow. So backing up to the records, it is a paradigm shift. But I do want to talk about student records today, but there's so many pieces to it, everybody with me, that it is tough for me to throw it all out to you. I will tell you this. One other goal I have for today is to show you all that exist. Because when we built AET, we decided that it had to be educational as well as a record book. It couldn't be just a record book. That's not going to be smart. I also directed all the educational materials not really to you. Who should they all be targeted to? Now, I hope you figure it all out, and I hope you're with them. Is everybody with me? But everything is targeted to kids. First created AET 2007, maybe was a question. One of the other groups said, how many people use this? We're glad to have y'all use it. Y'all used to be this big empty state in our mouth. But anyway, now that we've got some fill in there, there's 600 and something thousand, 680,000 kids that are active through here. So we've got a lot of people using it. So downtime, overloading servers, that job is to not let those things happen. So we spend a lot of money and time making sure that there's a lot of people using it, is my point. So it actually does fit for a lot of folks, but there's a paradigm shift. But educational materials is part of today too. I forgot about that. So educational materials, how to get your kids in, use you as an example. How to do POA stuff, use you as an example maybe. How do you do some of those activities for me? Pause. Come back and talk about it and show you some of that work. So award applications may be another question. How do records work with awards? Is that a question? Can we do the show? Okay, well, I could show that as well. I think that's probably something to go. So what I do, you can stop me, Don. John, any
Okay, so not any questions.
yeah, please, any questions? And the group that's online away from us, how do I see them? Are they?
You won't see them, but if you click the question on our right-hand side, go down.
I'm going to ignore that.
Go down. But yeah, if you click there on questions, open up, and if they have any questions, they'll.
Okay, right there. And there's none, so that's good.
Yep.
All right, we can answer those. So help me watch that if you don't mind. Before I log into this system, we're all online. Is everybody online here and set? I think we have some people that were struggling. Okay. Well, everybody else, y'all got online that needed to? Okay, not online yet. So
If not, you may just have to share computers. So we're working with our internet provider
Oh,
right now.
oh, sorry. Okay. All right. So if you go to VAT.com, what you will see before you ever log in. So I'm going to log off if you don't mind, so that you can see. You see first log in, student and teacher help. Hopefully this will not slow. This is slowing down too. Is that the problem? Oh yeah, we need to. I can switch internet places for me. Maybe on here, John. That'd be helpful.
You can. I'm hoping it doesn't
Block
kick
me?
us off. Well, or kick us off the webinar.
Oh, I shouldn't do that then. I'll stay where I am. At the very top here, you'll see student help and teacher help. Does everybody see those two tabs? They don't go away when you go into the record book. They stay. They don't stay there. They slide down to this area down here. But before I get into the record book, and I wanted to show you before I even get in what's here. So if I click on student help and you click along with me, then this is the student help for the record book. And some of these things to you right now might be kind of not as important, but I hope over time you'll say, I'm going to go back to this. Everybody with me? I want you to go back. There's no way you and I can notes today and we do it all. Everybody with me? Even though it's a nice time slot, there's a lot to digest. So if you were to say, Roger, you know what, this whole record book thing is awesome, that'd be nice too. But if you said that and you said, hey, I want you to come to my class and talk about how to get started, there is 20 minutes of me talking about why a kid would use a record book. And I start off with the agriculture industry has evolved. People no longer just farm and ranch at will. Number one, the assets are too expensive. Nobody can even get in the industry anymore. We have created such an expensive, capitally intensive industry. And I'm speaking to the state that probably knows it better than most. Land ownership is probably a big issue. Urban sprawl is probably a big issue for your state. So these things all make it difficult. Record keeping is one of these things that makes a business a real business. And ag is too expensive of an operation to have. You have a whole lot of money, right? And you like to waste it. But I'll tell you what, those people actually eventually get smart and they realize that they could buy small islands in the Bahamas or would run these ranches. So even folks with a lot of money get in and get out because they're like, wait, you know, this is not what I thought. So ag is this industry that evolves and has become very complex, and farm management is a big part of that. We no longer just plant corn, we plant certain varieties of corn. We no longer just spray farm. Everybody know these examples? They're all based on what's called management information. So I roll through a part of that where I'm like, this is important. This is what the industry does. Why don't? That's what it does. It says, okay, now here's to get on AET, and I want you to all do it. And it do. I do it. Everybody follow? That's what's there. You can stop of it. We're working on some new lesson plans that actually use these resources step by step. And they can stop that video at 5 minutes and 34 seconds because then it shifts into how do you do a profile. So then you let the kids get online and follow along. So anyway, there's some stuff there I'll show you. After you get past that, you get to what's called our Getting Started Guide. If I pull this up, this is a guide that's pretty common for us. All of our guides are just like this. When we first built AET, we said right away from day one, we want to make sure that we have resources. We wrote this really pretty, I think really pretty. Screenshot pictures, color. Everybody know what that means? A manual. That's what we need. We need a manual. So when we wrote it, we said, oh my God, it's huge. We need to take the contents in the manual. And we were going down the road of abyss. You know what I mean? Nobody goes down there and has people with them anymore. So we went down this road and wrote a 250-page document. We were like, that's awesome. Let's put it out, see how thick it is. You know what I mean? We printed it. And we got done, and it was really cool. And then we looked back a year later, and it, I mean, I'm not lying either. It got downloaded like 120 times. I'm pretty sure 100 were me. The 20 were some poor people that were like, oh, what is this? And they hit delete right away, and they didn't even use it. No one really used it. So we said, you know what? Bad idea. So we rebuilt the whole thing in these little guides. So I've got a guide that says Getting Started for Students. By the way, it's got a place for the student to put their what on it? Their name. The chapter number. Ever said that 100 times? Chapter number, username, password. I want these guides. Now, they don't all do this. Everybody with me? They don't all like this. Most of the guides on the front end are meant to be handouts. And they're meant for the kids to put their name on it, do something, and give it what? Back to you so you have daily grade opportunities. Now, some of them are, okay, you got an SAE, here's the 5 steps to manage the entrepreneurship one. That guide's really not meant to give back. Is everybody with me? You got them past that. Now, do these 5 things. Less you have to tell these kids to do, I do feel like the better. So AET is very driven to say, hey, quit telling them how to do everything. Make them follow this guide. So does everybody follow what these guides are? Now, if we ever write a guide that goes to about 4 pages, we're like, oh, heck, probably trying to talk about 2 things here. What are we trying to talk about? And we split it into 2-page guides. So all the guides are meant to be very focused. This guide says, how do you log in? Where do you go? How do you do a profile? Does everybody follow the steps? How do you manage your resume information? How do you put in I'm an officer or on a committee? And then finally it says, now start thinking about an SAE. What are the 3 things you're interested in? And there's 3 matters. I'm interested in. Everybody follow what this guide would be? It would help you get them started. So if you're using this in the classroom, that's the plan. I lost my stuff. Where did I go? Where did I go? Where did I go? Oh, wow. I'm not where I want to be. There I am. Sorry. All right. If you keep going through here, I have another guide called Selecting an SAE. If I click that one, it's similar stuff, meant to be a handout. Everybody follow where I am? Student help, getting started. Everybody with me there? Okay. This guide talks about what an SAE is and how you might have one. And then, sorry, thanks. And then it gives you a little decision tree. It's the real simple summary of how a kid might think kind of SAE they might have. And so it helps them land on, are you a business kid, a job kid, a research kid, or an exploratory kid? And so it helps them maybe land on that. Then at the end it says, okay, now tell me more about what you're thinking. Now these things are all processes that have to happen before they get into AET and do an SAE. Does everybody follow? So that's what we're trying to think about these things. The last part of this is how you put that in the record. And so this table, that small table up there, that's all it takes to create an SAE in the record book. And that's what I want to show you today. How do you do that? First thing the kid needs to do is come up with a really good name. Name to me is SAE, but name I described earlier is called something like what? What would you call that? I call them enterprises or villain.
Show cattle.
Yeah, show cattle or a profit center was
Profit center.
another way to think about that if you want. Enterprise is a really common term. Enterprise is an ag related to enterprise budget. I know what I mean? That's a common term. Profit center is another way to think about an enterprise. And I like it better because not all enterprises are for profit. Some enterprises support other, right with me? So then you start thinking, well, that it's not even a real profit center. It's meant to help the others. So for example, I work at the King Ranch Institute. They spend a lot of money on roads. Who pays for the roads? And they ask themselves, who pays for the roads? Well, who pays for the roads at the King Ranch on the cattle operation? The cattle. The cattle pays for it. Then they said, all right, well, hold on. We got oil and gas out here, too. They don't get a free ride. The cattle can't pay for the oil and gas roads. So they developed profit centers, and one of their profit centers is oil and gas. base that? They decided to base it on gross revenue. No oil and gas pays for all the roads. Still $28 a barrel. Now, the cattle are paying for the roads, I guess. I'm not sure how that's working out. But does everybody see the difference between a profit center? Well, fun stuff to talk about. But the records. So describe it how you keep records. That's the way to go about it. So anyway, name, what kind of SAE do you have? And then there's a few questions here at the bottom. You have a slow connection. Really, thank you. Would you like to hide all the webcams? No. No? Okay. Probably going to say something after that. Anyway. So does everybody get a simple table? That's what the kids are going to see in the record book, so I want them to see it on a piece of paper first. And I want you to step them through. These are the things you're about to do. I think it's better than just letting them jump on and get after it. But after you do this once, you no longer what? So I don't know, you just with your freshmen every, the beginning of the year, and they kind of get rolling, revisit every fall. I don't, you know your job better than me. These are just tools. Use them any way you want. All right, so I don't want to go through all of these, but does everybody get a feel for what they're going to find as they go through here? Oh, sorry. Yes,
Are you working with our state, because that was intriguing to me, these clusters that you have on that page. Are we going to redo our stuff in this state to conform to this, or what's going to be the plan?
And I don't know exactly what you're looking for them to kind of say, here's what some of our state level only areas are that they're not used to in their system. Yeah. And from what I understand, they're adding our state level only.
Yeah, which one? On that page there where you had the food, the natural resources, the food products, getting your experience categories, you were limited to 10 or 9 or so.
Yeah. There's AFNR pathways.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Does that go along with the Texas pathways in the curriculum?
No, it actually doesn't go along with Texas at all. It goes along with the AFNR, these national pathways. We followed that. And I tell you why we followed that, because when it comes to an award, the skill, y'all remember the skill section, that's pulling from those same linkages. But in Ohio, great example, they have their own standards, and so we specialize a few of those based on what you have.
So you can do that for the state.
Yeah, with some areas, yes. Yeah, there's ways that we can do that. All right, so also you'll find on this page, I'm going to click on it because it relates. I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit so I can get to it, I think. See this little video link right here? If I click this, this is a video of how you set up an SAE in the record book. So we have printed guides that are 1, 2, 3 pages long maybe. Is everybody with me on topic? And sometimes I have a video like this. And this video is usually accompanied with a guide. Remember the Setting Up SAE guide? That's a printed guide. You go over it. But if you wanted to, you click on this, and it would play I don't remember if it's a couple of minutes, 4 minutes. It'll play a video on me setting up an SAE. So that's one way to help get along. We have a lot of these videos in here. On the student help page, actually, I have a whole series of videos right here. These are videos for AET records and awards. So if I click on this one, this is a whole series of videos. And this left-hand side set of videos, some of y'all might find to be good right now on the front end. Because on this left side over here, this talks about a 3-minute video on how AET works in general for a student. This is a 4-minute video that says, here's how you do profiling. This is a 12-minute video that says how you set up an SAE. It's a little more detailed than the other. This video talks about how you deal with beginning values. This video talks about how you deal with current inventory values. The way they change, probably in the way you look at it, but I don't know yet for sure. I think it is. How do you manage placement of the date? How do you manage your marketing? How do you manage your reading project? So those are all about manage a particular situation, but they now you're going to go to the award. Here's how that stuff flows over to the award. Everybody there, they're kind of pointing to do your records, and by the way, these videos on the other side over here, these videos are really all about the award and what you're looking at. This is blank. How do you go to the record book and find it? Does everybody make sense of that? It's kind of two views. This left-hand side is, this left-hand side is from the record book to the award. The right-hand side is from the award. Everybody with me? And look back in the record book. For AET, FFA awards never should be the place the kids do the record. So we're big on that. Everybody know what I mean? When you're in the award, you're done. You're just looking at your award. If there's a problem, you should go back to your what? Record book to, so everybody follow what these videos do. I'm shooting a whole brand new series of these right now because the award platform changed a little bit, which we designed, but FFA wanted to tweak some things to make us say, hey, plus we had a lot of lessons last year we learned where people got lost, you know. So anyway, these are things I update all the time, you know, when I change. So student help. Don't need to look any deeper. Does everybody see the stuff there? I say I'm not looking deeper, but I just about. This managing SAEs, these are little guides. In AET, we're very big on kids on building SAE plans. I just can't get away from it. I think it was always the intent, right? But I see a lot of really nice records, and if I go to their plan, goose egg, nothing. And I think that's a spot we're missing. So I'm starting to push that even more. I never thought about it. Again, until you get into it, you're like, oh, that happened, right? No, it didn't. Unless the kids are what? I don't know about for y'all. I'm really motivated. I think there's another word. He's a star candidate. Because most star candidates need a what? An SAE agreement is the word. Call them plans. And when you hit the print button, we call it a agreement. So otherwise you're planning, you're done, hit print, call it an agreement. You know, that's the stupid kind of stuff we think about for way too long. But anyway, the idea is those things are important. They're important for everybody. So how do you do a plan? Everybody with me? There is a guide there that says, how do you do plans? Now when you click on this, some of these help areas don't end right here. If you click this, it says that if you're going to do an SAE plan, your plan changes if you're a job or your plan changes if you're an entrepreneur. Does that make sense? So there are 4 different plans. If you go back up with me under student help and you look at now, forget the plan, I did that. Now I need to know what kind of records do I keep. So exploratory records are not the same as placement records or research. Everybody follow? These are step-by-step. If you're going to do an entrepreneurship project, what's this? Step 2 is this, step 3 is this, step 4 is this. That's a guide where once everybody's working, that's a guide to me that you hand out to specific kids. You got a bunch of placement projects, here's your guide. You got a bunch of entrepreneurship, you got some placement too, here's the guide, here's 2 guides. So you decide how you work through that. All right, so enough said. That's where I'll leave it. Student help, got lots of stuff. Teacher help is for you. Teacher help, you have your own video for how to use the teacher software. I only did that because as soon as I made a student video, what happened? So we don't have a teacher video or what? I'm like, really? Oh, okay, fine. So anyway, there's a teacher video, and I'm trying to talk about why I use the record book as a teacher. Then there's a getting started guide for you. Here's what it tells you to do. I'm going to address it today. Is you got to set up a class. Why do you have to set up a class? Because kids need an ag class to say what? I'm an ag. You first started AET, you let kids do it on their own. How'd that turn out? Stupid idea. What that was. But we let kids create their own ag classes. So, you know, they were in like, you know, really dumb sounding classes and super smart sounding classes. Because it's fun. That's what kids do. So we took that away from the kids and we gave it to who? You. So you create the class. I didn't say that earlier, but that's part of the teacher side I want to show you. Second thing this guide says is you need to get kids in. I want to show you that today. Third thing the guide says is I want you to do POA stuff. Does everybody follow what the getting started guide is going to tell you? It's going to tell you those 3 things. And I'm going to show it to you today. But if you said to me, hey, Roger, I can't remember exactly how you said to do that, and you were to go to teacher help, that'd be brilliant. You go to teacher help, and then you would go to the what? Getting started guide for teachers, and you would get your core right there. Our goal is for your teacher help to be so minute and small that you you would even need help. But actually, that's not the case. There's a lot of things that you want to do, so that's what this is all built like. By the way, it's built the same as the student stuff. Shorter is better. So there is guides for how you can manage student accounts. There's guides for how you can load pictures into the record book. Because photos are important and documents are important. Portfolios. If I'm a research kid, my photos are important, and so is my abstract, so is my research papers. Everybody with me? Exploratory. Pictures are probably important, but maybe I had to write a report up because I'm doing a job shadowing. And it's not as, you know, it's not as detailed as other SAEs. So the teacher says you got to write a report for me. Everybody follow? That'd be good to upload. So pictures in AET are kind of, where the images and documents are what we call a portfolio. Who's got a portfolio? You got one? Who else has got one? Kids got one? And there's a third person that has them. I mean, person, I think. POA events have one. Because POA events are another activity that wants pictures, it wants documents, it wants parent release forms. Everybody with me? It wants things. So in AET, we have 3 portfolios. One's the student, one's the teacher, and one's the event. POA event. So that guide says here's how you do that. All right. If I keep going through here, there's tons of stuff. There is a video series for POA activities. So there is a video series that talks about put calendar events in, which I'm going to show you today. There's a video talking about how you put the POA details in the calendar. I'm going to show you today. And there's finally one that you take and I want to show you a little bit about how to do that today. But that doesn't become very valuable to you until you have a whole bunch of what? Activities. Everybody with me? So I can't show you much there, but you'll see, and it won't be hard to see where to go. All right, so teacher help. Does everybody follow all the tools that are there? Okay. So let's shift gears and get away from this. There are tons of things in there we can keep going on for days, but we want to log in, and I want to borrow somebody. So I want to borrow somebody. Let's just see if that's you.
Sure.
I want to borrow somebody that has not, pulled your kids in from FFA. Have you not done that yet? You're a perfect example. Have you changed your password or done anything like that yet?
On AET?
Well, great question. I'm glad you asked.
No idea.
So she asked a great question. I'll say that. Smooth. She said, how do I log in? What password do I use? Now, y'all all use judging card correct now. Is that right? Yeah. Well, if you do, let's just say yes. But judging card is something y'all use, right? You got to look for registration for events and activities, competitions. Sorry. It's the same username as AET. So if you change your judging password, that also changes. If you change your AET, you just change your. That keeps. So do you know that account?
Yeah, sure. What is it our
It's your
account
number.
number? Yeah.
What I try not to do is try not to share everybody's business with everybody else.
It's okay, they can.
I think that's where I was going. That's where I was going. Y'all are all friends here.
Yep.
Some place I go to, don't say the same thing. People say login for you, which I don't mind either. But I simply log in with you. So where does logins happen? There's I'm right in front of the screen. That's smart. There is a student and a teacher and a region. Do we have any questions online? That's what I should ask. John, do you see any?
Pull up your I don't see any.
There be something there for us?
Yeah, there is a question there.
Here's one up there.
If you click, there you go.
We have a Google Calendar. That is a super question. So that is a really good one, actually. Google Calendars are really good because they're shared on lots of platforms, right? Well, I use Google Calendar a lot because of that. The thing about a Google Calendar that's not as good is if you're going to spend time filling out a calendar, we're going to do the Halloween, right, fundraiser for the year. The Halloween committee is going to do the fundraiser for the Halloween event where all the kids come in and we do this Halloween deal for ag. It's a chapter public relations activity, probably. Is everybody with me? Google Calendar doesn't know that. Google Calendar knows it shows up on a desk. That's perfect. But it doesn't know it's part of the chapter POA. It doesn't know what it's part of. Google Calendar will let you link to the document, but it won't let you envelope those documents in. Google Calendar also is limited in the way you want to describe it even further, that this is an FFA activity. And your students, if you tag it as an FFA activity, your students can pick the calendar, not a Google Calendar, but AET calendar. They can pick the calendar and they can say, I participated in this. And when they click it, it will put it into their record book and let them talk about what they did at the activity. Everybody with me? So a Google Calendar is an awesome platform to share, but it's a one-dimensional activity. That, by the way, I think y'all get inundated with just too much of that kind of crap. So it's a one-way activity that's awful cool, but it's one way. Is everybody with me? So if I can give you an AET calendar that lets you do all those things, one activity yields you 5 or 6 different benefits. So Google Calendars are great. We can take an AET calendar and share it on a Google Calendar. I just cannot take a Google Calendar and pull it into AET. Does that make sense, everybody? Because those variables are all missing. Actually, though, after you start using AET, the idea of pushing to a Google Calendar becomes less important because there's better ways to share. Everybody with me? So it's a great question. I hope that answers it. You had a question.
So a student clicks on it, says that they participated in it.
Yes.
What if they do not? Do we have a way to say no, we did not participate?
Yeah, that's actually really good. From the teacher side, you will see several ways back. But one of the best ways is on the teacher side, you can click on what's called participant. It will show you who did that. And you say, Billy's a liar. You know what I mean? And then you go, yes, you can see that. And we've actually got some brand new cool things. And I hate to talk about cool things that aren't like staring you in the face, like right now I showed you. But this is so cool, I got to share. We've got a new system we're building. You'll see it in the calendar. When you go click on participants, you'll see some stuff that pops up that says, I want to register these 10 kids that did it. I don't like that, because who's doing the record book? But I have a way to let you assign the kids to run the calendars for you. Now, could it make sense that the chapter secretary is booking who went to those events? Yes. So there is a benefit for it, and that's a brand new thing we got going. One of the new ones is the chapter meeting manager we're developing, and that's going to be a whole new system that goes in calendar, and it's basically just a way to build an agenda, share the agenda, do some minutes. But the cool thing is when the kids walk into the meeting, your secretary takes a little barcode scanner, and we have student ID cards that we're about to push out, and those ID cards, they can just barcode scan, and that's it. So there are reasons why you would want to log participants, like you know what I mean, like controlled. And then there's other events like the state forestry judging, you know what I mean, where you took a few kids and you don't need to barcode scan them. It's 4 of them, you know what I mean, or whatever it is. Does that make sense? Yeah. So there are ways to see whoever got put in, and then you as the policeman as a teacher, you can go take that out. Does that make sense? So the Google Calendars are a super tool, but I got a better one, I think. So.
You've got another question then.
Oh, that created a little super.
Is there a video on how to share the AET calendar on Google?
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Our school runs on Google, and we would need to have the events moved to the calendar and parents. Well, I'm going to back up. There is a way you can put a URL on a website for a school that people will see the calendar that's on there. AET, I hadn't thought about this, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. AET has something called AET Web. Because once I get into your program, I'm going to do it with yours. Once I get into your program, into your profile, you all actually have a free website. That free website will take your calendar that you're already doing. Kids are doing it for you, right? POA stuff there. Photos are being taken. You approve those, though, right? That's about it. And then all of that flows out to a website called AET Web. It gives you an external website for the parents and other people to see what's going on. The kids see inside of AET. Is everybody with me? Kids see that. But outsiders, stakeholders, school administrators, they want to see something publicly facing. So we have that as well. How does that connect to your school's website with a Google? set up, I'm not sure. But you can take an AET calendar and put it out on Google if you'd like. I will tell you that Google updates their calendar system all the time, as they should. And so what happens to our links? They break, and we have to re-envelope that out. But we do deal with that, and that is possible for those that really want that. But I am going to give you a website that lets you get some of that stuff done. Most schools that have used it have said, oh, okay, I'm going to link this new website we have to whatever the school's got. Anybody going to the school website could click on it and see this. So I'll show you all that today.
And I think that also addresses your next question. Can I incorporate chapter website?
On the website, is there a way something automatically send it to administrators?
But I don't. I tell you what, we've been looking at working at our website as a news feed that would take things like that and put them out. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do there. We've been playing with some stuff like that, so maybe. But no, not right now. No, I don't. But that's actually probably a valuable thing on the plane. But I don't know.
There's just something brought up.
No, it's a good deal. It's just, you know. All right, so let's get into her account, and let me show you the website as well, because that seems like that's a good question. And those are good questions online here. All right, so I'm going to click Teacher. So I hope all of you are going to follow along with me. I want all of you to log into yours. So I'm going to click Teacher, and I'm going to borrow your stuff.
IL0126.
Okay, IL0126. And your password's probably a zip or that repeated.
61739.
Okay. And what is your name?
Becky.
Y'all leave Becky stuff alone. If anybody messes with Becky stuff, I'm going to track who you are. I'll reciprocate. I got you, Becky. You bet. All right, so here is Becky's website. Farm Credit has done a pilot with y'all, with us. So y'all are checking this thing out as a big group for really, y'all had the January thing, right? A year and a half. But we released it before January because we were like, what? Okay. So anyway, it's out there until October of 2017 for you. That's how long it goes. Is that right? Yeah, that's right, 2017. All right, but Becky, I've logged into your account. All of you logging into your account are going to see the same basic thing, and that is that you've got a bunch of menus over here on the left-hand side. So Becky, these are things that you don't use all the time, but for you they are little links to certain things, which I might hit on in a little bit, okay? But your main menus, Becky, are right here across the middle. What you do as a teacher, you deal with something called a profile. What you do as a teacher is you deal with something called accounts. What you do is deal with something called tracker, and then finally what you do with something called reports. Does everybody see those menus out there? Pretty simple. I don't have to tell you probably a whole lot. Profile. What is that stuff going to be?
Program and teacher profile.
Program and teacher stuff. I want to know about your school. I want to know about your teachers. I'm going to go ahead and want to know about your ag class. Everybody with me? These are some basic things. So, Becky, I'm going to start with profile with you, if that's okay. But before I go to profile, account. Tell me what you think that is.
Your student account.
That's a good, interesting way to look at it. It's not accounts from finances perspective. It's an account of kids. Yeah, because I would say, what's your biggest asset at school? I mean, what do you hang your hat on? Kids. Somebody help. Kids. Yeah. So anyway, kids. And so accounts is all about kids. I hadn't thought of it as a financial good way. Tracker is the one you ought to scratch your head with. Like, what the heck is that? I was there, but I didn't because I'm busy. But what the heck is that? Tracker. Tracker is you train your program. I have your record book stuff all shoved into that called Tracker. So I'm going to come back and mess with that later. Because I've given you stuff. By the way, you're like, don't give me anything else to do. I didn't give it to you. People wanted it, so I put it all in one spot. Look at it, don't look at it. Up to you. But Tracker is really your record book as a teacher. It's got lots of stuff in it. Reports is what? Just looking at everything the other three gave me. All right. Key, I'm going to click on your profile along with everybody else here, folks. And we're all clicking on profile. And It's pulling up because you all clicked this thing somebody from. So anyway, as profile pulls up, this is going to be the things that you'll need to do. So I guess homework. I'm giving you homework. So when we take a break, y'all are all going to go do your homework. So profile is got 3 things. Profile is all about who first? Your chapter. Profile is next about your school, and then profile next is really your AET account. Okay, so there's 3 kind of options here. First option, Becky, I want to click on, I want all of you to click on too, is update your chapter's information. So if I go to Becky's profile #1 menu, we numbered the teacher menus. So the teachers, right? So we number the teacher menus, and they are #1 is your school profile, chapter profile. Now when you do it, Becky, I see Becky's school name in there, Prairie Central High School. Is that right, Becky? All good. Go through there. I've got an address for Becky. Y'all see the affiliation program number down below? That's kind of always a question. That's just simply a toggle is yes, I'm affiliated to National FFA. Not like I know them. It means all my kids are going to be what? FFA members. Everybody with me? That's what that is. If you click that button, it's not like you get an invoice generated. Do not freak out. All that does is let AET know that any kid in AET is automatically going to get pushed to FFA for members if you say so. So it's just a simple toggle. I don't mind it if all your kids are affiliated. I also don't mind it if almost all your kids are doing it. Is everybody with me? It's saving you time. It's just a toggle. Leave it off, and you pick them row by row if you're a control freak, and pick which ones you want. And if you end up picking 98% of them, and go, hit that button, please. You don't do that. So, does everybody follow what that is? That's all it is. Now, over here on the right-hand side, Becky, you have an ag department phone number that's what?
The same as the school.
That's good. So what Becky's going to do is, actually, I'm going to play you, Becky. Becky's going to come over here, and Becky is going to get her school phone number and put it right there. Is that okay?
Yep.
And Becky, when you hit save here, what's going to happen is all of your kids' FFA Word applications will all now have a what?
Phone number.
Phone number. Because that's the number blank right there that is it's the same as the school. Everybody with me? So at first with AET, you know what we put in the award application? School phone number. We didn't put the ag department phone number. And then some people did what? They deleted the school phone number and they put the ag department as the school phone number. Does everybody follow what happened? We're like, God, no. So anyway, we look at both blanks, but I'd like you to fix it, so you fix it. That make sense? Okay. By the way, Becky could also go and change her password, which Becky's afraid of all use, so she's probably going to do that later. Becky's going to hit that and reset her password, and Becky, you can also hit that little button I already hit save. You can also hit that button called data, and that is some basic information about the ag program for you, Becky. That's going to be things, how many kids are in ag, how many are members, how many aren't members. Now, if Becky enters that information, that helps us in some reports. Okay. All right, so does everybody follow the #1 menu? Very simply. Hopefully all of you have updated your stuff. Number 2 is who you are as a teacher. And Becky, you are there. And Darren's there. Darren also with you. Okay. So anyway, those are the teachers I have for your program. If you do not see yourself on this list, just simply hit what? Add a new person, and then you'll add yourself in there as a teacher. Why is this important? Because you've got to be a teacher in the program, so that when you say the classes that we teach, you can tag who the teacher is.
For instance, one of those people is retiring.
Yep.
Could we change that name?
Ooh, that is also an awesome question. No. So what you're going to do is, you're going to, I'm sorry, I'm just fun. You're going to click Darren, and you're going to hit what?
Delete.
Now, some of you, you know, I thought I picked somebody that's very reserved. It's not going to be very fun to have as an example. I didn't get mad at me. Bam. This didn't change right there.
He would be happy to be deleted.
Would he?
Yeah.
You know, we've got some buttons in AET that say things like delete, but I have to always stress we're not knocking off anybody across the country. Nobody pays us that much. So Darren's still here. If you delete him, he is retired. Good. If you hit delete there, you're really not killing off Darren, right? But all you're doing is preventing Darren from being tagged on any new ag class. Everybody with me? That's all you're doing. We should use a different word like archive, right? That's a smarter word. We use the word like delete, we don't like we're taking them off, and people are like, it's an awesome button. I know, that's really not what's happening here. So anyway, just playing with you. But does that make sense? That's what you do. You archive the person, you call it delete. And then you add the new one that comes in, right? And you go from there. Okay. All right, so profile is a pretty simple area so far. And so those are the two main menus, 1 and 2 right there. Now I'm going to shift over to your school. And there's, of course, more here, but we can't cover it all. This is a very important one. In fact, if you pulled up the AET Getting Started Guide for Teachers, the first thing it would say, actually probably shouldn't say this, but the first thing it would say is set up your ad class. But it's assuming that you've already said you're a teacher. Is everybody with me? It's assuming you've already done some stuff. But the very first thing, the basics, is you need to set up classes. So Becky, I'm going to see that you have no classes at this time, right? Perfect example. So I'm going to hit new what? New course. So here's my homework assignment for all of you. You've already said I got to make myself set up as a teacher. Hopefully you're with me. I'm going slow. But the next is I want you to do some classes. Now that might mean that you need to do a few more things. So Becky, I want to set up classes you have right now if you don't mind. So I'm going to go and choose Becky. And I'm going to say, Becky, that your ad classes started when?
Well, this term, we have 4 blocks, so it started January 4th.
Ah, perfect. So I'm going to back up to the fall, just to back up, to show you. So when did your classes start in the fall?
August.
About?
25th.
25th. So I'm going to hit that date right there. Becky, when do your classes end for that group? For that December?
December. Perfect. 22nd.
All right. And then now here is where we could customize a little bit your state. This is where we got to work. I don't know what we've done here. I think we've done a little bit of work already. If I pull down this list, this is using, I think, yes, this is using the ASNR list. Do y'all follow that with your classes?
Not really.
Or do you have kind of a different list?
We have a
pretty different
well,
list.
it's just.
That's where I need to know so I can tweak. I don't have that right now. By the way, I will tell you this is very descriptive. It really doesn't affect anything to happen, but I'd like to tweak it. So I'm going to click right now, Becky, what fits best to one of the classes you taught in the fall.
Animals.
Okay. Now, Becky, this is going to be, I hope, this is customized, all that class list. So, Becky, what was one of the classes that you taught?
Animal science.
So I'm going to click that. Now notice Becky gets right underneath here. Becky gets a space to name the class. Becky, this is what the kids see. Do you tell the kids you're in animal science, or do you tell them you're in something else?
Animal care.
Animal, very good. So what Becky would do is take this word and change it to what? Because that's the way Becky tells the kids you're in the class. So there's all kinds of variations of that, so we want you to tweak that. By the way, you can do a couple of things. Everybody see the sections over here? You could say this is section 1, section 2. Becky, do you have multiple sections of this class?
Just one of them.
Just one. If you did, I also now like, since people have been using AET, some people actually put the period of the day that class is, Becky. I don't know about y'all, but a lot of teachers use first period, second period, third period. And the kids after a while go, I don't even know what I'm in anymore. You're in third period. And then we have to all ask ourselves, what are we going to do with these kids, right? So anyway, but do you see what you can do there, Becky? You can do whatever you want to that. I would encourage you to do that kind of logic to help them make sure they get the right class. All right, so I'm going to hit save, by the way. When I hit save, Becky has a class. Now this class Becky has is for the school year of what? 2015-16, because again, I'm looking at everything based on school year, not December, January to December. Is everybody with me? That's how I'm looking at it. So Becky, there's your 15-16. Becky would continue on to enter her classes for the fall and the spring, Becky, just to keep it easy for this year. But now all of you might have students that need classes in the past. So I want to show you that. Question. Sorry.
What are we going to do? I know we got to change our thinking here, but for the ones in this room, hey, what are we going to do about that, or what's the board's thought about that, or I should have thought about that.
What's the question?
Well,
About
everybody in this room's been trained in our grade program to think January to December. So how do we, because I got the same problem. See, their start date now is 8/25/2015 or 15. Mine's 8/24/2015. But I thought in the state, we were always starting a record book that you know about starting on January 1 and ending December 31st for our tax years is what we've always done this for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any idea?
It hasn't been discussed yet.
It's something for me I hadn't thought about. I wish I thought about it today with your board.
Well, I want you to understand that's why we always do this in January.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
The biggest thing is because for tax.
It used to be always January, December, but if you're a corporation, you're a farmer, you know what I mean? So it involves but that's nothing to.
So even as you're putting things into these courses, you could still pull a report from January to December, correct?
No.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that is a problem.
Yeah. See, that's why I want you. I want the you're not the cashier. I want the office to know.
Oh, I think I am actually. I think I called it.
Oh, I understand that. Everybody in this room caught that. You offered that they never let the affiliation fee a little bit too long. Anyway, I noticed that.
I'm not pushing that for sure.
Yeah, it's okay. That would go. No, I've got the same thing, John. Like I said, Prairie Central, you have 8/25/14. I have all the Comas on here. We're 8/24. But he mentioned a while ago, that's when the records start in August, whenever our school year starts.
Yeah, and
my question is, the board does have a decision to make here. You're putting us all on AET. Technically, I have 6 months of void of records now already.
And that'll show the big difference I can say while we're talking about it is you started on 8/24. She started on 18. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
August 8th. Financially, there's zero difference in that. Yeah. And here's why. Because you're going to have beginning inventory of whatever you have. Her kids are going to have beginning inventory of whatever they have. The whole award application is trying to measure growth. So the fact that you have it on 8/18, the fact that you have it on 8/22, another workshop I did, one of the guys in the workshop said, I'm going to start all my classes on January 1 to alleviate this. Guess when their records are going to all start? January 1. So if I took the same kid, and he set up beginning inventory on 8/18, everybody with me? And then I took the same kid, and he set up beginning inventory on 8/22. And then I took the same kid, and he set up beginning inventory on January 1. Is everybody with me? The answer for that kid's records is the same. So the question for us is, what's the best way to approach it that you don't have to cause any big discussion about how to go? So y'all have to talk about that today. From a financial perspective, I don't care what the start date is. I really don't. Because it doesn't matter.
You're totally correct. I'm not
But
even,
y'all gotta figure it
actually,
out.
yes, John, I'm referring this to because
Oh, no, I'm with you.
the state office has to decide.
Yeah.
And it's not a state office, it's your IBAT and FFA boards that have to tell us
Like
how
I
to do it.
said, the state office has to decide, though, what you're going to do, because this is what Kath was talking about the other day at our meeting. I've been on here enough to be dangerous now, but I did notice that I saw our calendar dates at 8/24.
I thought it was trailing.
We were January to December. Most of us just finished off easy records here of January to December. Well, now we have overlapping date into AET if we're going to go on 2016 with AET. We have a problem here.
You got to figure it out. And one of the guys in the other workshop just said, I'm going to start all mine in January. And I was like, well, we can't. But now everybody's 6 months apart. You know,
That's
4 months apart.
better.
But when you set up these classes, exactly right. You're spot on. That date's a big deal right there. Because that's what allows things to kick off. Now, Becky is going to have kids that actually need to keep records to catch up. They need to catch up records from 2014, right? You could have that, Becky. So Becky's got a problem still, right, with the date. You're with me? That still exists. But Becky's got a problem because this kid got records back in 2014, and he or she wants to catch him up in AET. We didn't know if anybody would ever do that, but tons of people have done it. It's not hard to do. I've even got a guide called Entering Records from Previous Year, and it says step by step what you need to do. Becky's trouble is, Becky, before the kid can do the records, the kid needs to play their what? in ag. So Becky has to say, how do I do that? Here's how I think you deal with it. Hit new course, Becky, right? Same process, right? New course. And this is probably a board thing that I'll talk about. I don't think, kind of like beginning inventory, I don't think there's any big impact. So I'm going to show you how that comes out. Financial questions. Where students beginning to use and non-productive personal items? That's a great question. In AET, we don't asset. Those are money words. Already talked about. Getting applications trying to measure growth in the productive ones just muddy the water. The American degree doesn't recognize them anymore. We actually do recognize them is that a student went and bought a jet.
Muted.
That's fine. It's a personal draw of money out of the record. The kid went and bought a motorcycle, which is not anything related to ag. Everybody with me? The kid drew the money out. So I care what he did with the money. I just don't care that it's a motorcycle or a giant Snickers candy bar. You know what I mean? It doesn't really factor into the records. So hopefully that answers that question, because that is my test.
Why not?
Why not what? Why does it matter?
Why are you tracking the enterprise?
So, the fact that you took like in that and their you go out and buy a jet ski, I'm not going to let that affect the finances of our business. And our records in FFA have bounced between several. One set of records exists in the real world is the tax set of records. If we get honest about the tax set of records, they are designed in one way to tell the federal government they make any money. I don't know what you're talking about. So that's how that's designed. There are deductions. There's accelerated depreciation. If I buy a brand new tractor, the government belongs to me now, which is fully depreciated. I think like $700,000 a bunch of money. So I effectively everything I tax all that. Then there's another set that's called the banker's book. Even more hilarious. The banker's book is telling the banker, I got plenty of stuff. I got plenty of money. That's like some of yours. And that whole conversation is based on no longer what you pay. The banker wants to know what I can sell back. Dining room and talk about that. You know what I mean? You talk about that with your attorney. You talk about that with your kids when you're no longer alive. They find out about it. You talk about those books because that's the bottom line. So which award set of books does FFA focus on?
Muted.
The last. And so I'm trying to ignore the banker books and the tax books because they have different bottom lines. In AET, I for personal assets of that area, or not ignore, but that's a great question. All right, so Becky, back to your stuff. When we set up classes, Becky, for old records, this is my suggestion to Becky and to all of you. You, again, handle this however you want. January 1 date might fall into play how y'all want to do it. I don't know. But, Becky, when you come in to your old classes for those kids, Becky has to pick herself. Now, Becky, I'm going to start right off with that. Becky might not have been the teacher in 14, 15. Is everybody with me? I can't worry about that now, Becky. We're going to pick you for this. Okay? Now, by the way, this is my suggestion. You can go back and go hardcore and put in your real classes last year, 14, 15. Is everybody with me? put them in for real. Then you're going to call it yourself probably to go put in your what? 13, 14 for reals. Everybody with me? You could do that, Becky. But you'll get just as much mileage out of picking August basically as a start date. But back in what year? Back in 14. And I'm going to pick August 20th. And Becky, you're going to run in here and pick probably, I'm guessing, do y'all kind of classes go to May or June here? May. So I'm going to go back to May of 15, sorry, about midways again. And that should have been 15. And then, Becky, you were going to pick the most generic thing you can pick here. She's going to pick what we call multiple pathways, which means you teach lots of combinations of things. And you're going to go in here and pick, I don't know, what's the most comprehensive class y'all have in? Intro to Ag. So let me get down here to that, Intro to Ag. And then Becky's going to change the name of this complete course. Again, my suggestions. Everybody with me? My goal is to save you time and not burn a lot of time. She's going to have a class called 2014-15 Ag. And when she hits save here, Becky, your kids that are trying to for an Ag last year to keep records, they're going to, that is their Ag class. And so you're going to create 13, 14, 12, 13 Ag, and that lets kids time and out of the class.
That creates a problem with
That's the date thing you still got to do.
transcripts, though, too. They use transcripts.
To validate the class. Yeah. And those run from when they started class?
On their official high school transcripts.
Yes. August.
Just, yeah, they're each semester.
Yeah, yeah. So that's going to be, well, now, if Becky does the fall semester and the spring semester, she can put in those. She can put in whatever you say you want. What I'm doing is going back and saying, when did they start Ag, and that's my suggestion to you. Now, as you go through time, Becky, you're going to have your real 15, 16 Ag classes in here. What's Becky going to have in 16, 17? Her real Ag classes. Did everybody follow? What I want you to do, Becky, is go back and put in all those old details, because I don't know, but this is state specific all the time, but I don't know the value of Becky and all those. I also will tell you Becky's kids will go back in time and do what? Pick the wrong class. That will happen, and then you'll end up, Becky, moving kids around, and you didn't learn that article, and at the end of the day, I got to draw a giant question mark on the board, and I got to say, does that have value? So it's up to y'all. Does that make sense how to deal with classes, old and new? As a suggestion. All right, so Becky, profile is going to be, I talk too much. And then I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to go over here to AET Web, Becky, just because we talked about it. This is AET Web. Go to profile, far right-hand side, click on AET Web, it will pull up. Has anybody messed with AET Web at all? You have, okay. With your AET Web, she claimed an address. Becky, what would you want your website to be called? Prairie Central, I'm guessing?
Sure.
Well, now you could change my mind.
That's great.
I'm not committed to it. I can't use this after I use a Mac once. So Prairie, is that IE?
Yes.
Prairie Central. And you want FFA in there?
Sure. Love to have.
Becky's easy with stuff like this. FFA. And do I have Prairie Central?
Yeah, spelled right.
So I'm going to hit check availability, and it's going to say it's available. Now, if you hit check availability and you have something like Smith FFA, everybody follow? Someone's probably got it. But anyway, if you hit Becky claim here, Becky actually just got herself an AET website, and it's called prairiecentralffa.dat.com. So that would be the link, Becky, you would give to your webmaster at the school and say, hey, anything on our website, link here. Now I'm going to show you Becky's website. So if I go click on the URL, I'm going to hit open in a new tab. I'm going to get Becky's website, and this is what Becky's website looks like whenever it pulls up. Becky's website is going to have a header across there that says Prairie Central. By the way, it's got crops. Becky can change that to horticulture, livestock, bunch of things you can change that to. Becky is going to give a little welcome here. And so you get 2 students and 2 teachers. That's a pretty high ratio of focus for your kids. But when we get your accounts added up in AET, that's going to become more live. Right, Colin? This website is actually going to generate itself and keep itself up to date based on whatever's in your record book. And so it's not really anything that you manage, Becky. What you do is you manage the AET and this website. These pictures, see how the pictures rotating? They're not there. Those pictures that are rotating are pictures that we just have stock. If you start keeping records, they're going to SAE. Becky's going to have pictures of events. She's going to have a portfolio from the banquet that she set up for the kids. And Becky's going to be doing check pictures and they'll flow to replace them. Becky, you're going to have news down at the bottom that's going to happen, and you're going to have upcoming events. Where are all these events going to come from? Your calendar, very good. So the calendar is going to know that today is January the 19th. What is today? That's 19th? Yes. January 19th. When January the 20th hits, whatever was on here for the 19th is going to what? Go away. Anybody that's had their own calendar actually probably knows the headache of trying to keep up, make things active. I mean your own website, sorry. So this keeps that up active for you. Any questions?
Yeah. So does the student have a net worth statement in AET?
Yes.
It doesn't include personal items?
Yes. Correct. That's not correct.
Does it include personal items that are added if they've used business expenses to purchase them, or business capital to purchase them?
If they've used business capital to purchase personal items, that will cause their net worth to go down because they drew it out, but it won't cause their profitability to go down because that's captured in their profit of their SAE. So
that's where I've always gotten to disagreement because we all miss those who go to work, earn money to buy vehicles or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't get credit for our SAE records.
Right.
I think that's always wrong.
Yeah. It depends on if we're wanting awards to represent the kids or we're wanting awards to represent their SAE. That's the difference. It just depends on what. But now I would say from an equity standpoint, they still have the equity, but it's just not SAE. We want our system to focus on the kids, because if we do, then all of a sudden the kids that are rich, that have a lot of stuff, will look better than the kids that don't. Does that make sense? I think there's...
They may have no from their quality not being good.
Yeah, it's not the same intention. So I think that's the question. Anyway.
You got another one.
Oh,
Where do you think that's putting stocks on?
Stocks and bonds are a good question. Stocks and bonds don't have a good place to be as a liquid asset. If you do have stocks and bonds, and I tell them that that's part of their checking account, their savings account. So that's where I think it's.
Same thing with life insurance.
Same thing with life insurance, but life insurance is even less liquid. So life insurance I have trouble with. You don't benefit from that unless you die. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's an old thing, part of America. For some reason. Okay, so
is there any way to and I'm guessing you're getting into that?
Yeah, the website can be customized quite a bit. The website can be customized with pages. You can add your own pages. What are good pages to add? Good pages to add are classes you teach. Good pages to add are fundraising activities. So the website does allow for some. Yeah.
What about students that you may have in an SAE class or graduates? If they've graduated from high school or still keep
Yeah. Kids active in AET are to represent kids you want to have records on. You will have American kids that stay active in AET. They're no longer in ag classes. The start date is the most important date that y'all been talking about, all right? So if I got a kid that was an ag Becky in my ag class, and that kid was a freshman with me, that's back to 2012. If we're in 2016 and that kid's graduated that kid's still an active kid in your AET, and he's still updating a few things. He's going to do an American degree, but his records always can continue on. The only question mark for us is when did he start ag? That's the only date that matters. So it's all a similar question that if you said, hey, what about kids keeping records in the summer? They're not in ag. Can they keep records? And the answer is what? Yes, because they have a what? Start date. That's all that matters to us. I don't know about y'all state, but if you're on the semester or block kind of schedule, you might have a kid that's not in your ag class in the fall, but he's in your ag class in the what? Spring. Does that happen here?
Yeah.
All the time. So those kids are still keeping records even though they've skipped a semester. That's irrelevant to what we have. So to answer the question, the kids that are Americans or in SAE classes, they're going to keep records. They're just not, they don't need to be enrolled in a class once they've started.
So when we move this like AET into an application, it's just going to be whenever they started to whenever we say.
Correct.
That's when we're going to pull all their information.
Correct. So if you ran an American degree or state degree today, I would end it on December 31st of 2015. And I'd capture everything that ran right up to that date. Kids still keeping records January, February, March. They still get them away. I think, yeah. All right, so those are good questions.
It looks like you get another one.
So wait. Not having students entered starting January 1 will show them not as a member, and therefore they cannot claim their activities September and October. That is correct. If January 1 is y'all's official start date, and they go, forget SAE records, right? They go to an FFA activity in October, I'm going to want them to journal that they did that in October, and AET thinks he starts ag in January. Yes, that'll be a problem for us. Ohio has a great example right now, and it makes no sense. But they had an FFA activity that happened in January of 16, and the teachers lobbied for it. That should count in our 15-year award. Everybody with me? But the date's what? January the what? 16 of the year. They're now going in and having to fake that was a 15 to make that count, and they run that cycle through, and they said, we're just creating, they had 3 years to have these activities, and that one activity is what keeps them from getting their state degree. They need 5 activities above the chapter level. Everybody know what I mean? There's 20. They finally just switched and said, no, we're very date driven. So that's exactly right. If you tell me it happens in October,
And then you have also, if you put a generic title for Ag Class 2014, won't show up on the student resume, which is not detailed.
yes. Come back in time, that's exactly a limitation of the resume. However, I'm just weighing how much time Becky wants to spend putting those old ones in and how that unfolds. That's completely up to y'all. It's more of a suggestion the way you have to do. You can do it any way you want. The resume would be a limitation for the first couple of years. That's exactly right. However, the resume can be updated and edited, so you can change those back for those few kids.
So we've been talking about start dates, but the end date, May 30th, whatever, we've got kids still with projects over
The summer.
July, August. It's
No trouble.
After their start date.
Correct. You might have some situations like this. You might have kids that start their SAE in June, but they really didn't start ag till August. And in y'all's history, that's okay. If that's the case, then you've got another date to add it there. A lot of states do SAE classes. They're very generic. Some of them have them as a real class, and some do it as just an acceptable practice. Those teachers, they say they're allowed to let freshmen start their stuff in June. I'm also thinking about y'all at the national level. Think about the records. Everybody follow? These kids are starting in June in some states and around through the summer and counting that, and that's just what y'all have to weigh. That's what's happening.
I have discovered them for 7 days.
Yeah, same thing. You would put them as discovery students, and they would say that I've got a class, I've got a class. That would help those start. All right, so looking at the website, I think it's just one tool that's out there. So profile is that. A lot of stuff in there you can take a look. Click on accounts, and accounts is where we deal with students. So if I click accounts, it's going to show me all of the account tools that I have. On the left-hand side is managing your kids, And on the right-hand side is
Muted.
with those kids. That's where we can describe it. Becky, I'm going to deal with your number student account because that's where you deal with your kids. So I'm going to click this, Becky, and I don't know what I'm going to find here, but there's what I found. So Becky has really one kid, Becky. Becky's got Harmony Slagle, is that right? And Harmony graduated?
Senior.
Okay, perfect. What you're going to see if you do this, y'all are coming in midstream with it. So does anybody have a student like this with an FAID as a username? One like that? Got several like this? Good. What that means is, just to let you know where it came from, that means that the kids went to FFA.org, they clicked on an award, AET couldn't find an AET, right with me? So we created them an account, Becky, so the kids can interact with the awards, fill them out. This means that Harmony does not have any records, but Harmony went into the award and did some stuff, which is perfectly fine. You're going to have to take these kids like Harmony, and you're going to have to fix them in this manner I'm about to show you. What you're going to do is you're going to click under Harmony's name. When you click under Harmony's name, you get some stats about Harmony. Right away, you can see Harmony is active because she's got a check mark. Everybody follow that? There's a lot of things we can do there. You leave that alone. But Becky, what I want to do is I don't like Harmony's username because Harmony will never remember that to log in. So what I do is I get rid of that and I go and copy Harmony's last name and I paste it in there. And then I go put right in front of Harmony's name her first initial. So the usernames in AET by default are the kid's first initial and their full last name. That's the default. So you see what I'm doing, Becky? I'm fixing Harmony. Because Harmony wasn't messing with the record book. Now Harmony might. So I'm going to go ahead and fix it. Okay? Now when I do this, I'm also going to highlight Harmony's new username, copy it, and I'm going to paste that right in that number down there called reset what? Password. Because what I want to do is I want Harmony, I want your students to have their first initial and their last name as their username. And I want to copy that exact capitalization and I want to put it in their password spot. Because when you tell all your kids to log in, I want you to get one message. All of you log into AET using your what? First initial, your last name. What's your password? First initial, last name. That shouldn't be hard, but that'll take a bit even with your kids, right? So, and that's okay. When you hit save there, Harmony, you'll see now that Becky, Harmony's username is capital H, capital Slagle. Now, what would happen if you had Henry Slagle, Harmony Slagle, Hope Slagle? Is everybody with me? AET is going to say H Slagle is the first one. And then when it sees the second H Slagle, it's going to do H Slagle what? 1, H Slagle 2, H Slagle 3, and it's going to keep doing that until you run out of H Slagle. And then you're going to pull this up, Becky, in class, print it out. Remember the Getting Started Guide for Students? What did it say right away? What is your chapter number? What is your username? What is your password? Becky, you're going to have that print out, and you're going to tell everybody it's your first initial and your last name. Capital is your first initial and the first letter of your last name. Everybody follows what you're going to tell them. And then you're going to fill out Harmony and Hope. And you're going to say, okay, actually, Hope, you're H Slagle 1 and you're H Slagle. Everybody follow, you're going to deal with it. And then you're done. Now, all I'm doing right now is fixing the kids that already interacted with AET. They just never knew it. How did they interact with us? They filled out applications because we developed a platform for them to get to it. They never knew they had a record book. They didn't care about it. They filled out the application. I just want to get those kids leveled right now while we're messing with this. Does that make sense, Becky? Does that make sense for those of you that have that too? Okay. Yeah.
If you just change their username and not change password, that way it doesn't change it if they're trying to work on their stuff.
Great question. The username that you saw a while ago, the 004586, that actually was because they came from FFA.org. We didn't even give them a password. So the password I just reset is not to FFA.org. They will always have the same FFA.org password. This password I just reset is so Harmony can log into what? The AET and have a record book and go that way if she would like. Does that make sense? So you do have to reset that kid's password because they came from where? FFA.org. Make sense? So you saw user ID there. Actually, if I go in the database, the kid doesn't even have a password. So I had to go ahead and do it.
Is it going to change their username though?
No.
If we teach it in here?
No. It did not.
So if they already put,
She's there.
if they already put records, because I get, one of my kids was working on a certificate. I'm like, pause, you're going to try to do something. I said, I'll work with you next week.
Yeah.
Start playing with it.
Sure. Okay, good.
So, and I couldn't get him, I had set him up.
So
and I
he's
couldn't.
already logged in and used AET.
Yes,
Okay, then you don't want to reset that kid's password. My bad.
right.
You're okay.
Do you want to
resetting
reset
it.
his username now?
No. What is it?
It's a bunch of numbers.
Oh, is it?
Because I couldn't get him, I didn't know how to make him a password,
Bunch of numbers,
which is going to be my next.
their membership
It's
number.
their
Right.
Let me show you how what's happening here, I think. I don't know for sure. I reset his password because I think what the kid's doing is the kid's going to FFA.org and clicking on applications, coming to the record book and doing stuff. He or she is really not logging into AET to do all that. They're taking a longer route that they really don't need to.
Because I didn't know how to get him
There you
from
go.
point to point.
So change the kid's username like we did Harmony and go ahead and reset that kid's password because they're using right now the FFA.org password. If they still go to FFA.org, there's no interference there. But I'd rather them log in through here because it's the first step. Does that make sense?
I might get ahead of here.
Okay.
So I moved over, because we talked about this at the meeting. I moved them over to my roster. They have usernames, but they don't have passwords.
It automatically gives them the password and you follow the process. They already did.
Probably where is that password?
All right, so see the big bright green box here, Becky? This is where you get kids in the record book. So that one, because they came from FFA before. Everybody, I wouldn't have talked about that if you were talking in August. Because I wouldn't say they log in from all in. I fixed this. Okay. Now that I got that done, see the big green box up here? There is a thing here called add account. Does everybody see where it says multiple? If I hit add account, now go slow with me, don't get ahead of me. Add account, multiple. Does everybody see the great big box that pulls up there? Everybody see the box? This is what I would tell you to do in August. I would tell you in August, in the summer. Depends on when we do January, right? We're going to get past that. But once we get that figured out, in August, I would say to you, do you have all of your students, Becky, in one file that gives you a last name, comma, first name? Where would that be?
Not all in one place, but they're in my grade book.
They're in your grade book. You got them in class. But I tell Becky to do, just go to her class, I say copy all those kids, last name, comma, first name. I say copy them, Becky, or I say export them out of the system. Well, I don't have exports now. So I would take those and I'd paste them, Becky, right in this big box. And I'm going to put myself in here, Becky, if you don't mind. So here I am. That's what all of them would look like. Bear with me? Enter, comma, Roger. They'd be a whole long list of them. Becky, you can copy and paste. You can edit out middle initials. Everybody with me? You can edit that all you want in this box. And then, Becky, when you run to the very bottom, you're going to hit add account. And it's going to take all those kids, give them a first and their last name, just like Harmony. Does everybody follow? That'd be simple. Problem is, you and I are talking in January. You've already had those kids, right? And you take one part of them. I don't know. It doesn't matter. A large number of them in the FFA. Everybody with me? So you don't need to do that step. Because and then in FFA.org, he's building in the grade book. Now he's building FFA. Everybody with me? So I don't like this process today, but I want to show it to you because I think it's their way here. Okay. Now, if I'm going to go to do that, in that bright green box, another one called National Roster Utilities. Everybody see that one? I'm going to put that one, which is what you did, I think. And it's going to pull up, you see some tabs up here. By the way, if you do your business right, these will all go from. If you start doing goofy stuff, I'll start saying, But right now, you can't be, nothing's happening. Everybody see the Add to AET tab, fourth tab? If I click that, Becky, these are all of your kids in FFA.org. Okay? So it knows who they all are. And so what I'm going to do, Becky, is hit Add All to AET. Is that okay?
Yep.
When I click this does actually give them a user. And this does actually give them a password that's exactly the same as their what? Username. That make sense?
Is it consistent?
Yes. It makes sense. So you got all caps. It's reason why you, yep, I know, sorry. So, we don't have a good way to fix that. That's how your roster got done.
But does everybody follow how that process works? That's how you get your kids in. And I'd like all of you to get your kids out of FFA at least to put them here. Now, Becky, do you have kids in your ag class that aren't in FFA? How would Becky get those kids in the record book? Add accounts, multiple, and you'd have to kind of go find those. Now, Becky, I'll tell you this. It doesn't matter if the kid is in your ag class, is it Dolan Bain? Barnes. Dolan Barnes. If the way that's spelled in your classes, you can copy him all day long and try to add him, and it won't do what? It won't duplicate it. But if he
took our roster and dumped it on kids we've already put in there, they won't duplicate
it won't duplicate it either. As long as they are spelled the what? Same. They're not the same. You will see them really vaguely, right in your face, and then you will fix them.
So if you've got students on FFA.org that you've listed as ag ed only, let's pull them as well.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it pulls everything that's there.
So, can you go in and delete?
Yeah, now that's a great question I probably wouldn't get to today, but does everybody see the bogus account Becky has here?
Yeah.
The 0 and 0? What I do here is I would find that student one day and click on the row, several ways to do this. I'd click on the row, and I would just right-click on my mouse button, and I would make that kid inactive. And when I do that, that kid leaves my active list, but those kids are always where? Right there in the inactive list. Be very careful about deleting kids, because deleting a kid just ends up causing later on potential confusion. You're much better just to inactivate.
They're actually retirement. We're becoming inactive.
Right. It's all about the words. If I had a delete button there, teacher's really excited about that.
Oh yeah. Remove from class.
Remove from earth is what they really mean. But I can't get that done. That costs more money. All right, so accounts. Does everybody see how that is in there? All right, so so that's a little bit of something there, and I think probably we ought to take a break and stretch our legs a little bit and pause. So I hope some of you will maybe put a few classes in. I hope you will get all your kids in that you have right now in FFA at least, and then we'll pick back up with a few things. I guess before I leave accounts, everybody see this roster helper right here? By the way, I got something here you might like. This is called the message center. This lets the teacher, after the kids do their profile, you can text message, email, and message. AET has its own internal message system. You can message these kids 3 different ways. You can also text the parent and email the parent of the kid. So there's a message center that's built into the kid doing their what? Profile. So if the kid does their profile, yeah, that's actually what that is. But anyway, if the kid does their profile, you can get a message center. Does everybody follow the tool? Plus, there is a report on the teacher side that lets you pull up a directory of everybody. Plus, we have a mobile system, and this mobile system will actually put the kid's profile on your phone, not your directory on your phone. Is everybody with me? So I just activated some kids. That means my directory next year gets what? Refreshed. And so you've got contact information, email, phone number. Click on the map, and it gives you the map to where their house is. So profile data for the kid gets used a bunch for the teachers. They are the ones that do it, not me. Does that make sense? There's tons of tools here like that. There's one you deal with. No longer have to enter your kids in FFA.org. What Becky can do is next year, Becky can go to this screen. She's going to see how much of that profile those kids did. Becky's going to see that they put in a graduation year. Becky's going to see that there's a checked-off address. And now Becky can say who is an FFA member and who isn't. Does everybody follow right there? 1-year member. And Becky can hit send all to FFA.org. And what that's going to do is take her AET group of kids. Everybody with me? Next fall. And they're going to have all their profiles done. And Becky's going to hit one button in whatever date y'all do it, membership. And that's going to push those kids to FFA.org and help streamline that process. And it's done. So accounts is a tool that there's lots of things there
you follow why it's hard to get through everything, but there's lots of tools there, okay? So let's take our break, come back with our POA stuff, and try to speed up a little bit.
As far as the break goes, there are some goodies left over from the meeting today. So help yourself those. Those are on the table, and any of the drinks and refrigerators are game too. And else is lemonade.
What do you say?
Oh,
for hitting that. Okay, so we're going to get started back again. I'm going to switch, Becky, out of your chapter, if you don't mind. We got yours started a little bit. And I'm going to borrow, yeah. Wait, let me borrow one that we didn't have calendar stuff in there. Sorry. Who in here has used the calendar a little bit? Anybody? Have you used the calendar some? Do you mind if I log into yours? Is that okay? Do you want me to log into it through my admin, or you want me to tell me what it is? You sure? Trust them in here? Really? What's your name? Michaela. So same thing, Michaela. I got your back. That's your stuff. I'll delete it. So anyway, Michaela, what's your number? What, are you in the same chapter? Sorry. Oh. You know, ag teachers always have love for each other, I can tell. So Michaela, what's the number? Sorry, I wasn't listening. And your password is zip, I'm guessing? What's that? 62531? Okay. Yeah, hit extend, sorry. Okay, so I'm in Michaela's now. So Michaela, your profile, you messed with some of that. Your accounts. Have you had kids using this yet? One? Okay. So Michaela's got accounts. Michaela, if I click on your manual account as a teacher, I can see a list of the kids that have logged in on a date. Does everybody see that date over there? 1/15 of 2016, I'm guessing, Michaela. That's the kid, Kylie Badman, right? And you can see Kylie's got a 12 next to her. What do you think that represents? For graduation year. This also all came from Kylie's profile. So Kylie's already done some stuff to get her stuff up to date a little bit. You can see when Kylie logged. This follow y'all is a pretty good screen to see kind of who's logging in, who's not. As you get into it, you can see that. All right, but what I wanted to go, Michaela, here is Tracker for you. So if I click Tracker, this is the menu that I want y'all on. So if you get back to the chapter and you click on Tracker, you will see your stuff here. Now, as you log in or as you get to Tracker, you'll notice there's several menus. This is all about your chapter, and this is all about what you do as a teacher. Now, these are some tools I want to touch on quickly, but they're valuable resources, so I don't want to skip them. But Michaela, this is your chapter stuff on the calendar. If I click the #1 menu, so all of you click that for me, I want you all to do this if you can. Click the #1 menu, and this is going to pull up what we call our AET calendar. Not very pretty, but it's functional, I think. So when I pull this up, you can see that Michaela's events in here. And Michaela, these are different things I'm going to see if I can take a look at here. Pull this up. Michaela's got a Parley Pro contest, an FFA chapter meeting, a public speaking CD, an officer meeting. Very good. You can see Michaela's adopted the color scheme here, so she's color coded some of these. Are your students doing this, or have you done this? You've done this. Okay, good. All right, so Michaela, I'm going to go, if you don't mind, and click on the 19th, because that's how Michaela got this event in. She clicked on the 19th, which is today. I'm going to pull this up, and this is what we have to offer that is different than the Google Calendar. Michaela is going to answer some common questions. So, for example, today, Michaela would be able to pick from this list. Now, this, by the way, is really just descriptive so that we can help us, but it's just meant to help. This, Michaela, you call personal development, or click this. But it's going to come in here and name it, and she's going to call, say, maybe an AET training. Michaela is going to get to come over here and choose a background color if she would like. Michaela can say this happened all day, or it happened from a certain time period. I'm not going to mess with that right now, but that makes sense to everybody? Pretty simple. The thing that I like the most, click from that list there. That's your base. So they come in here and say, you know, here I can learn about student career success and how to help them with the record book. Michaela, this is up to you to pick. Does everybody follow? You could pick something completely different than Michaela. It really depends on what you're doing. Today, example, but I'm going to pick student career success. Now, Michaela also is going to show you something. Michaela is able to. Today is not probably going to be that valuable, but if you follow, remember, I want to give you one activity that gives you 10 things back. Is everybody with me? So if you and your students spend time building a really good calendar, next year, you don't have to enter these events. You can just go pick from the what? Last year's list, and it brings it over to the new date you just picked. So these CDEs are going to happen next year, but they're going to happen on January the 22nd instead of the 21st. And so you're able to populate your calendar in lots of ways. Michaela, we're not bringing anything over from last year for this, right? So I say none. Michaela, I hit Steve, and it's done is what we just did. We get now a calendar with that event on there because me and Michaela did it together, so we did it twice. It's on there twice. So I'm going to click this event if you don't mind, and I'm going to delete one of them right quick so I don't make your calendar so messy. All right, so everybody put a calendar in. Remember, there's a go. You got to do all this stuff to look at later. All right, now, Michaela, get done, and each of these calendar activities, one, that's a POA tool. In AET, we view a calendar to be nothing more than that. It's a calendar. I'm going to beat Johnny on Friday. I don't know if you have a paddle kids here. Anyway, I'm going to beat Johnny on Friday because he chews gum every day and doesn't pay attention in class. That's probably a committee called personal growth student. But you just ignore that and you follow the committee activities. Everybody with me? And it's just an activity on the calendar. It just happens. We're not really going to make a big deal about it, but it's happening. No pictures nor videos. We're just going to have it happen. So, see if I can get my back here. I've lost my come on.
You're going back a page or two.
Yeah, there you go. Good idea. So maybe I'm okay now. Good idea. Thank you. Okay, so there is the calendar. Now, Michaela, I'm going to go down here your Probably Pro contest because the Probably Pro contest is probably a good one. I'm not clicking on the 20th anymore because now I want to work on the Probably Pro contest. So if I click the name of the event, have you seen any of this, Michaela, yet? Okay. If I click on the name of the event, Michaela has done a pretty good job. She gets, right away, a student leadership. Everybody follow? She's already picked it. If she didn't pick it, she could assign it. Everybody follow? Also, you have a tool right here called a portfolio email address. That means that each activity in your calendar has the potential to have its own email address. When you save that email address, it lets kids with phones like this running around that you want to do it, or you, either one, can take this phone and take a picture. And by taking a picture of an activity, they can email to that address that is set, and that automatically follows or drops the pictures in that event. So it's called a portfolio email address. Each event has its own unique one. So how many events for you are going to get a portfolio email address? All of them or just a select few? Just a select few. But if you wanted to have a whole bunch of them, that's just great because that's great what? What are pictures great for at the end of the year? Banquets and TOA activities, and actually for your website. All those pictures are available to be approved for the website. So there's nothing wrong with having a bunch of these, but that's a tool that exists. If you run down here to the bottom, there is a huge area to format anything you want here. So Michaela, this is an event that you have Probably Pro contest, CDE, I think. This probably has an agenda online already laid out. Is that right? If I would go to that website and copy it and paste it where? Right in that box, right there in the box. Kayla, you could also just put a URL for more information, go here. You could put a need to register for this event, go here, make a URL. Is everybody with me? Michaela, this is almost like a Word document. Everybody see the bolding and underlining bullets? Michaela could copy paste and then bold and edit, delete, underline. Michaela becomes yours. Where would all that information need to go? Onto your calendar, right? But also goes onto your website. Very good. So this, Michaela, is a scratch pad for the whole public to see exactly when the buses leave. You cannot be late. Everybody follow what it is? It's all kinds of instructions, whatever you want.
And also write the report down.
Well, that's the next set of tabs. That's this first part. Now, at the very top of this page, everybody what's on the very top here? This Parley Pro contest has its own set of goals, has its own plan, has its own results, has the pictures you emailed or loaded them here, has a budget. There's some stuff with it. So if I click on this Parley Pro contest right here under National Chapter Goals, there is our outline for the National Chapter Award description, and then how many goals do you need? If any of you are big National Chapter Award people, you get scored perfectly if you have goals. 4. So I got 4 boxes. You give me 3 boxes, I'm going to tell you later that you have 75% of the goals. Kind of okay. Also kind of like a C. You know what I mean? Like not very good. So anyway, you pick. If you have 2 really awesome goals, you get a 50. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? So this is a tool meant to help everybody get to the right spot. If you read the instructions here, which you can't see by any possible means, but if you read those on the website, if you're looking with being followed along, those are the exact wording out of the rubric for the current National Chapter Award. National Chapter Award will change next year, and we're going to help them with that, so we're able to keep up a little bit, but we're already looking at how we want to tweak our calendar to better align to that, to do the same thing that this does. Does everybody see how that works? Those are the goals. Questions?
Yeah, is there a way to do that, like we were talking maybe at your Oxford retreat or something, filling out some of the goals, and then can we export it as like our pre-POA?
You don't have to export it because as you build this detail, we have reports at AET that create your POA report.
Well, like,
Illinois requires a
Illinois,
3
our Illinois only state that does that or something.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how each state does differently.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, what's going to happen to you is you're going to go on your office retreat. Exactly. In fact, I've got some worksheets for you. If you have to do stuff with the computer at first, I got worksheets for you that they can kids can fill out by hand, like a whole bunch of copies, and then you can say, you know what, you guys, you two, those events are all great. Put them in our calendar. And then they can begin to do things like goals and activities. Everybody with me? And if you go to that report on October the 15th, I'm just making everybody with me early, then you're going to get all your pre-planned stuff, right? With me?
So you can pull it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's reports that show that every which way is done. Then you continue on to build your plan. Well, if you've got 4 goals, how many action plans are you supposed to have? 4. So does everybody follow the 4 blanks again? Same thing? And then if you keep going through, you go to the next one, it's the results. Now this is what happened post-event, right? This is what happened after. So there's the stuff that happened after, and there's where the pictures either are loaded, like uploaded like this, choose a file and load it, or they just show up there because you did what? A bunch of kids took pictures and emailed them to the address. So this is what we call our POA tool. So the calendar is nothing more than a tool of keeping up what's going on. The POA tool is clicking on those events and talking about goals and objectives. That's what makes it a program activity. Just that you had children, the fact that you had goals, you measured the out, talked about what you're going to do next year, you about the educational impact, and on, then that's the stuff that makes it POA. And there are reports that pull that out any way you want. Yeah. Okay.
Can you track who submitted photos?
No, that's a good question, but no. As a teacher, you police the whole area. But Michaela, I'm going to go back to Michaela's tracker. And I don't know about y'all, but y'all have to pause to answer this question. This stuff I just showed you, good or bad for you? I'm just being selfish. You, good or bad for you?
I like it.
Like it?
Yeah, my like it pretty good.
I'm starting to find that to be true. No, I'm playing. I will say you should say I don't like it. That's what I'd tell you. If I were you, I'd say no, I don't like that. Holy cow! Look it, man. I got extra work to do. So I'd agree with you. That's what I'd say. So what I would say to you is, or you would maybe agree, who should help with all that? Students. So Michaela, I'm going to click on number 2.
Your wife?
You don't have the same wife I have. Is that what he said? Oh. You don't have the same wife I have. In fact, this is recorded. Your wife's going to get a copy. If I pull this down, Michaela can select from any of her students And those students in the student calendar of AET, we haven't gotten to, I'm going to need to. The student calendar of AET, they see the calendar. But Michaela, the kids that you say are good here that you pick, they will only see it. What can those kids do? Save it, edit it, tweak it, picture it. They know the portfolio email address. The other kids won't know the portfolio email. They can't get to it. This kid can. Everybody follow what happens? They get a different look. So, Michaela, all this work that y'all said, hey, I'd do it. Well, why? Your officer team should do it. What's your name? Caitlin. Caitlin said that her officers are working on her POA, but what her officers are really doing is working on her national chapter award. And next year, those officers are going to have to do what? The next step. Start all over again. If Michaela's group will build this POA system with goals and outcomes, everybody with me? Next year when these events replicate, she just does what? Has those kids bring those over if you're going to repeat them, and then you update and tweak those things, and then you spend time on your new events, and then hopefully you get more and more robust activities in there. And that's how that would work. All right, so the tracker has lots of tools in it. Everybody see that little blue video play button right there? That would show you how to do those two things I just showed you later on if you want to go look. Plus, on teacher help, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So that's there. I'm not going to talk about that a ton, but number 3 is about your budget. You all might have money you're supposed to keep up with, fundraising budget, horticulture greenhouse budget. Maybe your school takes care of it, and it doesn't matter to you. But if you have a budget you're supposed to mess with, like some kind of food club, create it there, and you can even assign that one to a single kid at a time. And those kids on the student record book will have a brand new menu that pops up called Finances for Chapter, and they can do your deposits. They can put the money went, who deposited the money. They don't really see the balances and split it. Does that make sense to everybody? But they can do some of your legwork for you. That's what that is. Over here on the side, on the other side of our teacher activities, we have an entire teacher record book. So we have an entire teacher journal, I should say specifically. It lets you, as a new entry, this lets you log what you do, hopefully in extended contract. Do y'all have extended contracts here? How does it say? No. Individual school. Individual school. Very good. So if you're at a school that says, hey, you're on a 30-day contract, and that's all you can get, if you track through the AET all these different activities you can do, you get a report at the end of the year that tracks all the hours you put in, and it comes back and says, hey, I got 45 days log worth of stuff I do. Here's forward on it. Do it if you want. Kids' SAE records actually come in behind that report, SAE journals, and show even more to add to that. So we tie those two together for that. That's an important. One of the common activities that you might do, SAE visit. Do y'all do SAE visits here? Is SAE visits common? Do you have to document the SAE visits? Okay, so this is the documentation tool if you'd like. If I could, Michaela, do you have any kids with records in here? Okay, if I, Michaela, SAE visits, I basically only do this. We have a brand new thing called the SAE visit feature. If I pull this up, oh, we have a question. Do the activities we enter in automatically populate the National Chapter Board application? Yes, they do. So all those calendar events that we just talked about and the goals and the outcomes, they actually interact with the brand new system we developed called the National Chapter Award. What happens is it looks at your calendar and says, Michaela has all these student events. This one's got 50% goals done. This one's got 100% of the goals done. So that's 0% of the goals. They're all Michaela figure out, because Michaela's only after what, 3 activities in an area. 4? I think it's 3. So 3 activities. Michaela's job is just to check the 3 what? Best student activities she's got. And Michaela can edit those because who did those originally for her? The kids. So Michaela wants to tweak them a little bit, clean them up. As soon as she does that, that flows right into the National Chapter Award. So yes, that does work that way. Okay. Now today, the National Chapter Award is based in Excel. Is everybody with me? So in AET, I'm going to show you that stuff online. And then at the very end, when you hit export, where's it going? Excel, because that's where it goes today. in another year or so, when you hit export, it will be a PDF document, which, by the way, makes it a whole lot more difficult for people to take an old Excel file that's your good national chapter work for 2010, and that's your 11, and that's your 12, and that's your 13. It really kind of brings that to be an annual report that's a little bit better. The calendar, though, is the key. Is everybody with me? Good calendar events can move from year to year and get updated, and I think that gives a good streamlined approach. But that's just where it's going. That's not our call. That's a great question. All right, so back to Michaela, to your kids. Michaela clicks tracker, right? Tracker's got all the stuff. Michaela clicks tracker. Michaela clicks SAE visit. So Michaela, I have to pick assessment. So I think I clicked it. When I pick new assessment, if I pick it, Michaela, it pulls up and says, which kid do you want to look at? So which is the kid that's got SAEs, Michaela? So Kylie, if I pick Kylie here, AET refreshes and shows me that Kylie has some SAEs and AET, but Kylie has a good job, by the way, of naming your SAEs. Swine production 15, swine production 16. Everybody see how she labeled that? Those SAE names are nice. When you go over here, though, you can see they have no journals, no finances yet. So that's letting me know that they've got SAE set up and know what? Entries. So if I'm judging the kid's record book, I'm going to start right there. Now, without looking at it, does everybody see that PDF link way on the end? If you pick that up, that will show you the kid's SAE, the kid's plan, all the kids' pictures, all the kids' journals. Everybody follow? It shows me the whole shooting match. So if I want to take a look at that, I could. But what happens to me is I pick an SAE or all of them, and I hit step 3, and it writes Michaela a evaluation, or not Michaela, what's the student's name? Kylie. Michaela writes an evaluation of Kylie, and what Kylie, she recommends Kylie do with her SAE that she hasn't done yet. And then finally, here at the bottom, I can even rate Kylie on a 1 to 10 scale of what I think. As soon as Michaela hits save here, that's going to send Kylie an email. It says, hey, I just did your swine production records or swine production in person. Got your iPad out. Is everybody with me? However you want to run that. And here's what I'm thinking, and that's what that does. By the way, Michaela, that creates, when you did that, you entered how much time you spent out of your normal contract time, log your journal and build that. So this SAE visit manager is special to help that. Okay. All right, so I guess trying to share with you these resources, because I think our #1 goal is to try to help kids with records. That's what it is. But after that, I really don't care that much about it. I do. I really want to figure out ways to save you time, and that's what I'm trying to share with you now. So there's lots of tools. All right, let's leave, if you don't mind, let's leave y'all's stuff. Let me go to a place that I can do what I want with. So I'm going to log into a AET chapter that I can play with to do what I want to show you about the student side. Everybody with me? Y'all don't really have a whole lot of records on the student side, plus I don't want to mess with any of your records. So I'm going to go log into a AET chapter. I don't ever log into it, so I'll probably mess up. There we go. So this is an AET chapter. Does everybody follow how it looks just like y'all's words? Same thing. Except with this chapter, I have lots of data. So if I click on reports to show you, there is a grading report that will run how your kids have used the record book, tell you how many times they logged in, tell you how many community service hours they have, FF activities they've got, how many financial transactions that they eat, how many journal financial, everybody's journal transactions, everything. And it lets you sort that list by any way you want. This is a badge summary. We have AET badges that kids earn. You don't give them to them. Their records show that they're a really good community service kid. They're a really good FF activity kid. They're really good, everybody follow, entrepreneurship show sheep kid. They're really good swine kid. They're really good horse kid. I don't know what that looks like. But anyway, there are all kinds of different good projects. I'm a horse person. I just don't know how they make money. They don't. So there's all kinds of records. Over here is program reports. This actually will summarize all your kids every which way you can think of. I got graphs of how many SAE types your kids have with pie charts and all kinds of good stuff. I got a POA report right here. So that's your POA report. If I click this POA report, that's a report. There's all kinds of reports here. There's a list of just activities. That's like the hand of parents. But actually, you would tell them to go where? To the website. Yeah. And then activity details actually list all those calendar events, goals, and objectives. And then really the POA report is the one we just did not too long ago. It'll say what year you're talking. And we do this on school year again. If I pull this up, this is going to be my POA report. And it will show me who is an officer, who's on what committee. It will show me all of the POA areas. And any event you put in here will have its name, its goals, its plans. Everybody follow the details? And all of that's laid out there. And that's the website. Once you get it like you want to, and you're looking at it, then you click this little link right here, and actually it generates a nice POA report that you would turn in to try to showcase what we're talking about here in a little better way. So it has a little header on it. Everybody knows what it does. It's got its page breaks laid out, and then it goes through here and lists. This is pulling from the school year, Dave.
So like August to May.
After July.
John, this way this year.
Right.
No.
Next
Yeah.
Well,
no decisions have been made yet.
Now, this
About the POA.
The POA nationally is moving. It's the Excel document this year, moving in what they develop in future years.
and now let me do this.
So nothing changed this year. I thought we had to do electronic.
I thought we had to do electronic.
You do, but it puts it into an Excel.
Yeah. So here's
Do
the
you
thing.
do that through here, or do we do that through National FFA login?
Let me show you that to help you. So just showed you is what we would call a report. Is everybody with me? Y'all are looking at your POA if I'm the National Chapter Award.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I click under reports, FFA Award Report, this is now, if y'all seen this before, does everybody see this if you go to ffa.org? Okay. So this is the report under FFA Awards. This is still an AET. If you go to ffa.org and use it. So anyway, here it is. Does everybody see this application here called the chapter application called the National Chapter Award for AET Calendar? That is all available to you. Okay. Now your kids pick the National Chapter Award with no AET calendar, right? What that does is that has a web form out, and you go there. So I want to show you this one here, because if I click this, that one that says AET calendar, by the way, how do you add it? You pick from that list, right? Okay. Anyway, education, what this does is this is now looking into my AET calendar. And this is what they're going to control the dates with. So you can pick any date range you want here. So does everybody see this first page called cover page? This is where you're going to set the dates to be whatever you want.
So that won't change for us.
No, that won't change for you. So this is going to be whatever. Now it comes up December to December, but you would change this. What is y'all, January, December? There you go. So you'd put April 1st. When you do that, what's going to happen is go look at your AET calendar and grab just what? Just those dates. So I'm going to back up, if you don't mind, to 13, just so I get more dates. If you hit set dates, then if I go to Form 1 activities, these are all of the events that happened during that span of time that are all related to the what? Each POA area. So what you're doing down here is now, here's one right here, chapter cooperation. Everybody see it's blank? So what that lets me know is that I did not create anything in my calendar that's what? A chapter operation, but you would just hit what? And that would take you to the calendar and let you develop that. Because you probably did something, you just didn't get it in the what? Calendar. Very good. Now if I continue through here, if you go to this next one here, whoa. Form 1 student activities, this is looking at all of the calendar events and trying to help you figure out which ones you had that were student related, what their name was, but more important, how many what boxes are filled out. And if you find them at 50% and 30% and 20%, you've got a lot of what? Work to do. If you find them, a bunch of them are 100% and some are 20%, now you know which ones are worth probably working on. And so if I go and click on that right there, it will take me to a summary of what I have in my calendar. So Michaela, you can see what the kids had done here, right? And then Michaela's question is, you kids go back and fix it, or I just what? You fix it right there. But does everybody follow how this is linked to the calendar? It's just pulling that stuff over. Finally, when you get down to the very end here, which I think is going to work well for y'all's date range, because every state with a POA have their own date. Texas has landed on not caring what the date range is. Texas has said, it's just 12 months. You pick them. But you've all got to turn it in by, you know what I mean, a certain date. So that kind of starts to tell you what you can take. Anyway, it's funny. This is designed to pick whatever. Okay? All right. Now, if I go to chapter activities, what am I looking at now? Into what? Chapter, and here's an ag education day. All the blanks are what? And there's 4 what? Pictures. So if I were the teacher, I'd say, well, let me take a look at that. And so I would go through here and look, and I'd see what's written in here. I'd say, hey, this is pretty good. And then I'd have to go in here and make sure that I did what? Selected one of those pictures. So only one can come over to the award. Everybody follow? You might have a bunch there. So if you don't like something, you just simply go to the top here and choose what? And that's going to take you back to the calendar where all this is based out of and let you fix that. Okay? All right, now once you get done with all that and you say, you know what, that's the one I want, let me go to the next one. Take a look at it. So it keeps running through here and finding which ones you want. Once you say, you know what, that's a good activity, I'm going to check it. So does everybody see how I check that activity? I need how many of these? I need 3. Now I don't have any good ones. That's oh wait, there's no right there. That's 100. So I click it. And now I got it. Okay? All right, now activity, same game, right? Pulls all these up. And then finally the check sheet. There's a check sheet online. It tries to say, hey, what's missing here? So it tells you what's missing or what's short. And then finally the last step for today is to get one Excel generated. So it's going to pull up and say, okay, you want your application. There it is. And let's see what we get here. You let me download it already?
Yeah, I think it's in the bottom.
That's nice. There it is. So it's going to download into Excel, and that's what y'all are going to use today. Does everybody follow how that works?
And so, Randy, in regards to your question, this year you will use National Chapter application that you will allow on the web, but it's to dump it into the Excel sheet that then we are going to judge electronically at the state level. For years, there's been no decision made. There will still be an option whether you use National Chapter Award or National Chapter Award AET calendar.
They're the same.
Yeah.
They go to the same place today. And I misunderstood. When you said POA, I actually assumed that you meant just report to my administration. What y'all were meaning is POA for the National Chapter Award. So now I'm better. This would be all you would ever use for the National Award, right? Yeah. Talking to your school administrator to switch on me. It's school year you're trying to talk to them about. So,
also never put this down real quick. You be able to. Yeah. John?
They also have to turn in an annual report that has
yeah, tell me that now.
the activities that they did throughout the year,
Yep.
a list of their officers, a list of their classes, their budgets.
On that one, we have created a slew of what we call custom state annual reports.
Okay.
Now on that one, I would create some annual report that only shows up for Illinois under reports, and it would say Illinois annual report. If I go to Nevada, it'll say Nevada annual report. If I go to Arkansas, it says Arkansas annual report. And that's a specific list of things dropped into a certain way and blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense?
So do we create that or like you guys?
I would create it. Well, you tell me what to do, and then we would.
They would create an application that will all dump into.
We'll talk about it at our staff meeting tomorrow.
That's a perfect thing. And then let me jump through here. If I click on these events, does everybody, let me find something. I got to find one that has an activity. I don't know if I checked on any. There we go. So there's one of the ones that I picked. Everybody follow how that works? Come right in. Okay. So there's a lot of chapter tools, and I've done a really bad job of managing our time a bit, but I am going to look at the student side a little bit. But here is the record book for the teacher again. How would you go to a kid? Now you're a teacher and you're going to go look at a kid. You would just hit what? Right now you just start typing the kid's last name. So I'm going to type Hannagriff, and there I am, student. And I click this as a teacher. I just left the teacher account, and I'm in the student now. So if Roger logs in, Roger's record book is just like this. If Roger, you just, the teacher record book went right into student record book. What does student record books look like? They've got a what? A profile. They've got a journal. What do they do in their journal? Well, they just time. Time for them could be what? Classes, service, FFA activities, SAE activities. Time could be lots of things. What do they put in the money side? Pretty much related money, but personal money. So that's what.
So in the journal, there's nothing that says this is just this SAE activity.
Oh, it does. Yes, it puts it out. So if I click on journal, which is a great thing, if I click on journal, by the way, journal is used 4 times more than finance. So there's a lot of them. If I click under journal, I just have different types of journals. What you did in your classes, what you did in your SAEs, what were your community service. Everybody called it their journal. Those flow over to the award. But if I click under SAE journal, for example, I'm going to start off with a date, but the first thing I pick is which one. Which SAE are you talking about here? And so you do specifically and define each one. FFA competitions is a generic term. As soon as you pick under, which competition? That's where we would customize the list a little bit. If you've got competitions we don't have, we would just add them. So that's a pretty custom list that we have. So the journals are pretty simple. You just pick journal, and the kid just says document what you did and when, how you did it. You describe it that way. Profile for a kid, by the way, is probably the place to start, but it's pretty simple. There's their personal stuff. That includes all that stuff about parent contact information from a award perspective, all that or what? Cover page. And when the kid's in the award, if they change the award, it actually comes back to the profile. So it keeps those in sync. The classes they're in, how does the kid pick these classes from who? Teacher grades them. This is a resume. Everything in AET is capturing resume data. What I don't think is you went first at the state contest. I just know you went to the state contest. That's where the kid says, and I was first place. And if the kid was 28th place out of 28 people, I probably would have put that in my resume. So it just depends on what the kid wants to report. Question?
So this might be a dumb question, but what would you do?
Very good. There are types of ways to document their we call it in class and out of class. In class activities would be today in animal science we learned about this. Some teachers have their kids do that because they like the idea that they have to document everything, and so they start them off in class. Tell me what you do every day in class. I'm going to give you 10 bonus points. Not one of the common.
Does that go into like affecting their degree application or anything like that?
Those don't come over.
Okay.
We pick what flows in state degrees based on what's set up. The biggest thing that goes into state degrees is activities, right? So activities are good common entry. Unpaid placement SAEs, right? They don't get paid, they're unpaid, right? Those hours flow into your award, is that correct? As unpaid. What if the kid gets paid? Then the unpaid hours, the journals, they don't go into the award. What goes into the award? The paycheck and the money in the hours. So it depends on what the activity is. We manage all of that. So your kids can journal away, and we're going to manage that. What about entrepreneurship kids? Those hours as a journal typically don't count in awards, right? As money. They don't count as money. So they count as they're involved, but they don't add up. Yeah, so we manage that too.
And so what can we do with judging card event results? Events that we're already hosting on judging card?
that, is that a question? Yeah. Oh,
Well, I'm
you're at, sorry, up there, I'm like, oh, no, sorry. If you click this, this lets the kid look at all the contests they've been in and reminds them how they placed and how they did. Maybe they forgot they even went, or maybe they forgot they got second place. That's what that helps.
Okay, next we're using AET for our state degree application.
Yeah.
Right, so if
I guess.
easy records, am I going to be able to put their stuff on that record, or on that application, or do they need to transfer all that after?
Good question. So I'll show you in a second, but just to tell you, they got two choices. One is if you want the kids to go back and put it in AET, I got a guide to help you. But no, what they could do is when they go to your degree application manager in AET, right, if you want, when they pull it up, your state degree is going to have an instructions page, which I'll show you. At the very bottom, the kids can unlock it from AET, meaning it's going to try to pull data over. So maybe the kids put in 1 year worth of AET records, and they got 2 years on ED records. Does that make sense? So you would come to the state degree. That last year all comes over from AET, but you hit unlock. Now everything becomes unlocked. All those numbers are still there, but then you have to update it manually. Does that make sense? Pretty much like you probably did with an American last year. Same thing here. And exactly. In fact, last year, none of you had to deal with the unlock because nobody was a subscriber. This year, you actually all are subscribers for free. Is everybody with me? So that's because that's going to mean every time your kid comes to this award, they're going to have to do what? Possibly unlock it because AET's thinking, okay, what record you got? Now, we're smart about it, so if we know you're a subscriber, and John pulls up his state degree, or American, right, and we see 0 records in AET, then we automatically give it to you unlocked. Now, that actually confuses some people because they think they all should be what? Locked. This was unlocked, this was locked. Why is that the case? This kid doesn't know. So AET's like, he's got something. Of course, it's nothing, but we don't know. It's something. That make sense?
Looks like you got one more question. If you want to print a POA report, will it print all of the events or just ones I want it to?
If you do a POA report for National Chapter Award, it's going to pick the 3 that it has room for. If you go and do our POA report, it's going to print everything in your calendar. I didn't get a chance to talk about SAE records very much. If you move to student help and those videos, you will find that to be hopefully easy. But does this help some of you that need to know a little more, hopefully? Hopefully we got you started off. Okay. Lots of stuff. I'm hanging around, so you got questions, let me know. That award process is kind of a good one. Would you mind if I showed it to you right quick? I got a bunch of awards in here. So if I click on reports, for example, out of the way. If I click under reports as my example here, I got tons of reports. But if I click, by the way, this is called the complete record book report, it brings in everything that kid's got in the record book from beginning to end, because that's what someone holds in their hand when they're trying to look at their state degree and say, hey, when did that happen? Because the degree you can't tell. That report you can. So it lines out very well. But if I click this right here, by the way, there's tons of reports. I see a big message here actually at the top. We're warning ourselves that, hey, you've got records that don't line up with the way the award wants them. So you've potentially got a problem here. So we have all these warnings that pop up to try to help them. But let's say everything's good. I'm going to pick an application right here. I'm going to pick an American degree. Okay. As soon as I pick that, all of the information flows from the record book. So there is all my SAE entrepreneurships. There's my incomes and expense. If I go down to my earning productively invested, there are my values that you use to get awards. Everybody know what I mean?
Can we edit those then, though, for those crossover years?
What's that?
Edit that, though?
Yeah, so this is what it looks like if it flows over. Community service journals, they flow over from journal, okay? But if you are entering back records, let me go to instructions at the very beginning. This application is currently what? Locked to your records. If you click this button here, it says, all right, do you want to unlock it? And you have to be careful here. We did the best we could. If you say, I want to unlock it, nothing's wrong yet. If you click unlock, And as a transition year for y'all, that's going to be true. And click unlock. Now I want you to
Is there a question?
Muted.
I got up at like
Unmuted.
to get you blamed. It's late, I know.
From what college station?
But well, good. I appreciate y'all's questions. Y'all are fun to talk to. So. I know it's a big paradigm. What'd somebody say?
Except Randy.
Oh, Randy is great.
Thank you. Hey, buddy. I need to move to Texas now.
That's right.
Oh, I don't think they can handle you in Texas yet. They got enough problems down there.
You know what? I've done lots of workshops in Texas. I got Randy's. And I like them all. I like them all. You always got to have somebody keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
You got to keep them. Somebody's got to keep you on your toes, right?
That's right.
It took me about 10 minutes to figure out that's Randy.
Oh my God.
Notorious.
Yes.
You earned it.
That's a great question. I think we will probably mail it this year.
Hey, John.
Yeah. Or like
Can you
email
do
them,
us a
so yeah.
favor, though,
I'll
so I
talk to
know
Jennifer
people
tomorrow
hear
about that. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Would you, this, how you just said tonight, how we're gonna transfer over to our POA from this, to get this electronically, would you do us all a favor about every 2 weeks, just send that out so that no one, I'm serious, send that out every 2 weeks or so, so that way, when it comes out 6 times or 7 times from now in March, no one can go back and say, well, we didn't give you nothing. Just spell it out. Hey, you have to do this, 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 and this, and make it simple for us. Jameson, you think it'd be a good idea for the state office, so you guys don't catch.
We have very clear instructions, but we won't repeat it every 2 weeks, because then you'll have 20 more people, actually 300 more people complaining.
No.
We look at reading it all together.
See, I'm concerned, because I only got 9 emails today. There's something wrong with our server.
But I misspoke on the POA thing, because I was thinking at that time, giving POA to my school board. But y'all were aiming.
That's where Illinois, and I would disagree with these. Tell your school board administration.
I think everybody's
Some
on the website, we're gonna go ahead and log off.
Contract hours, and I kept, then you can't go, stupid